Turtle is gonna be the main point of contention, but oh, the final splash from Kanon! Connects into the traction, goes to the back, replacing the weight of the will connect the Turtle. Will be stolen by Saison. That's gonna be beautiful, but the Unmarked is gonna take around. Look at Big Flash gone. Tano as well gone. Where's the damage there for Philippines? Saison is left hand as well. A strike connects. The Lord throws, misses, and Saison so won't take it as well by Food. And the Unmarked.
For the side of Myanmar, at least inhibitors are going to be down, so they're going to have to fight for this. But oh, Kanon! Gonna get sandwiched right there. Arcangel as well, picking up the double here for King Flash. Maybe the shutdown though, but Saison gonna take it. The Lord here for the side of the Philippines. Another attempt here, but
Nico, if they're not aware of this,
there's
gonna be a concealed play. Kanon with the final slice, the placing the wet, but the Winter Crown right in time. So low from Myanmar. King Flash still makes his way out. He's fighting his way on towards step, but Kitano will catch him. Now it's gonna be Nico as well with the kill, with the gun down. That's Nico still surviving. The Sky Piercer pops, but now Arcangel gets him down.
Two left.
It's only Kun and Quiboyi. Will this be the turnaround that's been looked for by Myanmar? Kun goes for the play, but Saison is there to stop him. Quiboyi looks for Rekitano. But in the back, they're playing insanely fast.
Rekitano able to take down, not just yet. Not able to take down that turret. The better airstrike from the backside. Quiboyi taking in a brother the damage. Kun. Saison trying to go in for Nico, but not gonna overextend there. But King Flash, whoa, just bursted down there. Juno going for the bravest fighter. Saison trying to pick off the back lines. Nico gonna set something up. Minion waves are still alive.
Saison
He's gonna try to go in. He has the immortality though, and it's gonna be Rekitano locking in the base as the Philippines gonna close it out.
Blue team turret has been destroyed. Red team has slain the Lord. Red team hero has been slain. Mega kill. Red team hero has been slain.
Welcome from wherever you're watching in the world. Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon. My name is Leo. This is Husky, and this is the Iesf Asia and Oceania qualifiers for Mobile Legends Bang Bang Men's. Husky, how you doing?
I'm doing great. It's been quite a while since I get a dabble in some ML casting. My first time at IESF as well, but I'm always excited for some great games. We have some amazing matches lined up today. The good old Indonesia against Cambodia rivalry. We got Indonesia against Vietnam, and some very notable names on the world stage. So I'm all down for action.
That's right, we got a couple of best of threes coming your way. This is once again for qualification throughout the groups. This is the IESF Southeast Asia qualifier, specifically Group B. It carries a very rich history of country competition here for esports, specifically Mobile Legends Bang Bang, an esport that we all know and love. Yesterday, we witnessed 4 best of threes called by our very good friends Kimberly, Mas, and Realize. Did you catch up on that? Because the Philippines stomped, y'all. The Philippines took down Myanmar and Thailand, and then Brunei won against Timor-Leste, and Myanmar got around and back and took down Brunei.
Yeah, I did. I was able to catch some of the games. Obviously, when we talk about the Philippines, it's almost a no-brainer that they cook, they serve, and they ate. They clean the plate. But Brunei against Timor-Leste was actually quite entertaining. Judging we have seen these two teams face off in other instances. But the fact that Timor-Leste put up a decent fight is something that I think is pretty commendable overall.
I love that the metagame is evolving right before our eyes. Alongside our broadcast, the professional leagues of Indonesia and the Philippines are also running simultaneously. And I'm looking at the drafts, I'm looking at the metagames that are put forth. I'd love to see what Indonesia brings to the table. So that is what we are in for today. Real quick, a reminder of what the groups look like. Southeast Asia, there's a split between Group A and Group B. And then West Asia is split between Group A and B as well. 5 teams for Southeast Asia per group, and then 3 across West Asia's groups.
Yeah, and all of them are playing for that spot to get out of groups, and then we head into the playoffs, which I believe would be a single elimination format, but just for everyone's info out there, we also have Central Asia, East Asia, and South Asia. So again, it's quite a gathering, right? This is what we love about Mobile Legends esports. We get so many different regions come together, be it those that we're familiar with or not, but the love for the game and the evolution, the meta that they introduce is so different that it sometimes reminds us how vast this meta game actually is.
And that's what's so awesome about this esport. I'd say we are in a golden age, given that the game is growing at such a pace that these groups are growing out of hand. They had to split some of them in different groups. Some teams and countries had to be split into different groups. Did you see that Guam is a part of Southeast Asia?
Yeah, I do, which is it's in of itself is very indicative of the rapid pace that we are evolving. But for today's schedule, we have 2 consecutive matches happening at the same time. Of course, the ones that you're going to watch on broadcast is going to be Indonesia against Cambodia, but also behind the scenes, we have Laos against Guam happening consecutively.
There it is. See, I told you, Guam has to face off against Laos here. They are part of Group B, so this is a match happening alongside this one coming up. And then back-to-back, you will see on this very same broadcast, so do not touch that dial, don't switch tabs, don't exit the browser. Indonesia versus Vietnam, and then Laos will be going back-to-back facing off against Cambodia. So Cambodia and Laos and Indonesia are pulling doubles today, Husky.
Yeah, they're pulling doubles, and I think for a lot of fans out there, the most anticipated series is probably the Cambodia versus Indonesia. If you know who is representing their nation, it is a very high-profile match. We've seen them kind of duke it out on other stages a couple of times, and for that to be an opening match, it's going to be amazing. But on top of that, we also have teams from different groups duking it out at 4 p.m. CST. So as long as you guys are keeping up with the event, you know that we have plenty of games going on.
That's right. We got some matches from Central Asia, South Asia, and I'm not mistaken, nope, we're not seeing West Asia in action just yet. So this is off stream, so please do stay with us and keep tabs. Follow iesf.gg on your favorite social media platforms, or iesf.gg, the website, to see the score updates. So that's what's happening today in the realm of Mobile Legends Bang Bang Men's. Now we have a few moments to talk about the current metagame. Husky, I'll tell you now, from the last big event we've had, that is the Mid-Season Cup, the game has changed maybe 10-15%. Very small patch that came in, 1.9.90.2. Nothing is groundbreaking here, nothing significant.
Yeah, there's nothing that is, that truly changes how the game is played now. I think even, like you said, right, from the Mid-Season Cup up till now, when the regular season for Indonesia and Philippines have just begun, most of the core foundations of the meta is still there. We're still seeing a lot of the regular picks being very popular. The dominating ones in the jungle are still there. It's still causing headaches for those that are not used to it. I personally, I'm getting a bit sick of having people jump around on assassins, but hey, that's the meta game, right? You gotta either you join it or you get beaten by it.
Based on what happened in MPL Philippines, I haven't quite dipped my toes into MPL ID just yet. That is something that we'll get a taste of here tonight. There's only 2 real assassins in the game, maybe 3 if you'd like to really push it. That is Lancelot, Yusun Shin, and Joy. You know what? Yusun Shin isn't even a real part of that equation. Lancelot, Joy, and Hayabusa. Those are the only real assassins these days.
Yeah, that and if you are feeling it, that Yishun Shin gets thrown into the equation. I'm slightly sad that we are not seeing Suyo anymore. It used to be a hero that I really love, and then I grew sick of it because everyone was picking him because he's too strong. And now, you don't know what you really lost until you've lost it. And now I kind of miss Suyo back in the meta, but unfortunately, it's just not the place for him to be. Lancelot, man, this guy's too strong. He's too strong right now, but you got to be really good to make him strong.
I think the word you're looking for, Husky, is overtuned. Lancelot, because of what's possible in the metagame and because of what is demanded of teams in team fights, his adjustments in the last 1 or 2 patches just made him such a high demand hero. On the other hand, when it comes to utility, I think the only real utility heroes that survived or are still in demand are just Baksha. You know what's weird is, in MPL Philippines, I'll tell you now, a team picked Uranus. Lost with it, but I'm glad that they lost with it. But still, Uranus. I think we're devolving. I think the metagame is degenerating. We're going back to Uranus.
And which is a pretty funny thing, right? Because when the meta first, got introduced, when the patch first got introduced, we see a lot of Uranus being picked up in the XP lane, and then I remember also seeing the Akai being brought back into the jungle every now and then, the Fredrin as well. Every time when there feels like there's no more options. Yeah, I think even the export was picked on 2 days ago, right? The Omega against AP brand, we see the export against Akai, which is pretty interesting as well. A quick blast to the past, but the ratio of these other junglers compared to Lancelot being picked up is just heaven and earth. It's just too much Lancelot.
Yeah. So far, we'll see what the metagame looks like in these teams' parts of the world. Indonesia will be in action against Cambodia in a best of 3. Knowing these teams, they might be slightly different from what we've seen in MPLPH. That's where the discussion has been for the past couple of minutes for us. I will try to bring up some MPL ID stats, but these are 2 teams we know. A majority of Team Indonesia and Team Cambodia are teams we know as Team Liquid ID and Cambodia First United.
Yep. And and for these 2 teams, and you just look at the track record that they had, even on international stage, whether it's head-to-head or against other big dogs, that they are one of the most experienced teams in the world. Even for Indonesia, right? Aran, Widi, Kabuki, Joe, Yehescu, 3 out of the 5 of them literally won a world championship. M5? So not M5, sorry. They won a second in terms of world championship in M6. So these are top contenders.
They were that close. Would love to see the young Jonathan Chin in action here. Ju playing in the jungle. And as well, it's nice to see Kabuki back. Leonardo Agong, he was once part of the OG lineup for then Aura. And then just recently, not more than a month ago, they called him back in. So it's nice to see how his chemistry is in what status that's in with his old team, but how is it going to go up against Team Cambodia, who is literally, just literally, Husky, CFU Gaming.
This team, I mean, as a Malaysian, this team, gives me nightmares every now and then. Right? We had a lot of close calls with the Cambodian squad on the international stage, and I think that's very indicative of how good they actually are. The past two international tournaments, we literally had them as a final roadblock before we could even proceed further in any international competition. But if Alpi, Detective, Xing, Wadu, and Boxy, these guys need no introduction, and I am expecting them to really give Indonesia a run for the money today.
No matter what the stage, no matter what the stakes, the Kamai brand of Mlbb has to be respected. And here, now that we're looking at the lineups, again, you can just look at the flags and say, oh, that's the kind of Mlbb they bring. But the difference between what we know Team Liquid ID to bring and CFU Gaming to bring, CFU is just the more consistent one. Like, this is the same team that's been playing for the better part of 2 to 3 years now. I am scared, Husky. I'm nervous going into this matchup, specifically for Team Indonesia.
Me too. I completely feel you on that one, because it's the battle between a team that has been around for so long, being able to polish the play style, the chemistry, alongside a team that recently went through changes. Right, we are looking at the Indonesian squad with two of the bigger names, or two of the pillars being swapped out. And it's not to say that the prodigy of Fabian and Aaron Shiki is not going to cut it, but it does raise some question marks whether it is enough time for them to gel together well enough to take down the Cambodia Titans.
Yeah, the game has changed ever since the heyday of these two squads. CFU, in their most recent outing in their campaign in the Mid-Season Cup, came up short. Even Team Liquid ID came up short in the qualifier for said international event. M6 was when we last saw these two teams really hit their stride, and CFU has always just been this close to greatness. So we'll see tonight if, in this best of three, they can show the world and shock us and take down Team Indonesia and get them 3 points. We are playing with points on the line to try and qualify out. Again, a 2-1 gets you 2 points, the one to the losing team. A sweep is 3 points straight, and then if you lose that, you get nothing in return. This is scary. I think Cambodia can do it. I hate to jump to predictions, but I think Cambodia can sweep Indonesia.
I think there's a chance. In fact, if you just look at Group B alone, right, just by power ranking alone, whoever wins this series essentially has like 99% chance of topping the group and advancing to the next stage. So either way, whether it's Cambodia or Indonesia winning, if they can just win this series, 3 or 2 points, I think the rest of the group stage is going to be slightly easier on them. And that's a scary thought to watch as the other teams this opening series go down, and knowing that the winner is going to take one slot away from you.
So here's what's scary about this whole situation. The top 2 scoring teams move forth.
Yeah.
So every point matters, every match matters. So Team Indonesia have quite the mountain to climb here, because even our fans, even the supporters of the respective teams, they're checking in. And I see you guys. I'm watching specifically on the Mlbb Esports stream right now. They're also surprised, like, why Kabuki? Why Jew? They know that it's the original cavalry, the young stallions that they're looking for. And all the more because of that, for this breaking news that we're sharing right now, suddenly the Cambodian fans, oh my wow, they're just happy because these are the same dudes that they've been rallying behind for the better part of a year now.
Yeah, I think, that's completely valid, right? Like we literally just talked about, there are going to be questions surrounding this Indonesian squad. It's not like we are seeing them for the first time, at least not during the roster review at Iesf qualifiers. We also see them kind of start off the season in the local league. And again, there hasn't been enough data to support the fact that this is going to be the new cavalry, which is why it's so much easier for you to just lean on this representative Cambodia, essentially the CFU squad, to take this series, whether it's a 2-1 or 2-0. I think even the Indonesian fans are, questioning, is this going to be it for Indonesia? Is this the team?
Again, Indonesia had a very strenuous and meticulous selection process, and it has come down to this. Maybe it's the way the meta has evolved. Maybe it's because, as you mentioned, Suyo is no longer in the metagame. Alpha is no longer in the metagame. These are Favian heroes. Aaron Shiki no longer is he untouchable. He's very touchable, in fact. And the only real hero that he has in the current metagame are Granger and Harith, which often get banned. So how deep does the original jungler, the original gold laner, Aaron Shiki's experience pool with the likes of Moskov, with 1-1 go? Because 1-1 is also an auto ban in the current metagame.
Yeah, and then you look at Kabuki, who has to kind of pick up the pieces, right? Has to take over the role, that the void that Aaron Shiki kind of left behind. And in the meta, where it is so demanding for XP laners to do well, and then people turn their attention to Aran, and he has already been, I think, under the microscope for the longest of time. When they finished second in M6, he was hailed as one of the pillars of the team. But when Team Liquid was struggling, people were also looking at Aran and were like, what is going on, right? Why isn't this guy the same guy that we saw on the world stage a couple months ago? And now you gotta wonder, is this meta going to, again, shake things up for the Indonesian team, but in a negative way?
Yeah, at worst, the least I could say for Aran is he seems disconnected, right? Like that's one of the main symptoms of an EXP laner out of their element. But just the same, this is where he really needs to kick in. Still, given that the metagame hasn't changed since the mid-season cup, XP lane has to play an anchor. XP lane has to really put their foot down and say, I'll be fine, guys. Just give me something. Give me an Arlet, ban the Phoveus, or ban the Arlet, give me a Phoveus, get my hands on a Lapu Lapu. You know, like, these things are things Aran can do. But it's the mid trio I'm scared for, because if your mid trio is not solid, if somehow you find it hard to get Ju on the same page as Yezkiel and Weedy, then best believe rotations are going to go over to Kabuki, and it's over.
Yeah, it's been really tough. I think the meta itself, even just in the mid lane pool, right? The fact that now we have Lancelot being literally the apex predator in the jungle, and the patch also indirectly affected that mid lane hero pool. You basically constricted to even lesser viable choices, which is already, you know, a big disadvantage compared to the patch before, when mid lane is already sort of suffering. And now we are demanding a role that has to take priority in the lane, help the team out in the side lanes, but also have minimal tools to work with. It really is a lot of strenuous responsibility for the Indonesian, for Yehescu. So I agree. I think that mid trio has to really be on point.
Here we go. Draft has already begun. It's going to be Cambodia on the play, alongside Indonesia answering back. They get the 2-pick power swing, but what comes through? What are they allowed to trade with? Lancelot, already banned out by Indonesia. Fanny, taken out. There's the aforementioned 1-1. The Zushin, the Kalia. Still open would be the Arlot, the Farsa, and the Yusun Shin.
Yeah. You go for the CC, and you have first pick. It was questioned maybe like 2 months ago. It was a big question mark, but now we are seeing actually it does work out. Even in Cup, decision gets let through, and you know that Detective is not going to let that slide.
Oh, Detective is a very dangerous man with the Yusun Shin. Macro control, carry potential when he hits his power spike. Indonesia, what do they trade with? Did they go with, there's the Farsa. The Baksha, safe. All right, so they're just covering their bases. They have rotational speed, they have artillery. Again, our worries about that mid trio, they're answering it now. How does Cambodia move forward from here? Do they lock in the Harith or the Granger in the first phase?
I think if I personally am looking at the Granger, right? It's not the worst. If you, in terms of matchup into Harith, I still think you would want the Granger on your side, judging by the fact that, you know, 1-1 is already taken out. I wouldn't be surprised. Coming from Cambodia itself, if they decide to go hard on the first 3 picks, I think it's completely fine. I think the onus is still on red side to kind of fill out that third pick. I think if you, let's say you don't take Kabuki's pick, you can bet that the Cambodia squad is going to start banning him out and really choking him.
Also, something to note, there it is, the Moskov. I was going to say, there's a big hero that also makes up for the macro control Abaxia gives. And look at this, the answer immediately. The Hayabusa to close up the first phase for Indonesia.
So I do like this is a bit of a curveball. We have seen a Baxia second, and then you throw in an actual jungle pick. So like you mentioned earlier on, it does cover the basis of the mid trio, fast rotation with the Baxia and Farsa, quick level 4 gang, in fact great level 4 gang potential too when Haya gets his ult.
So the question is, how does Cambodia answer the possibility of a late game comeback? If ever it goes sideways, right? If some way, somehow Indonesia snowballs, I'm still worried about Cambodia's in-base defense because they have mid-wave clear. I wonder if they can answer that with something in the EXP, a damage EXP. I'm confused why the Arlot and the Phoveus and the Lapu-Lapu are still open. This rarely happens.
I agree. I think if you want wave clear, then suddenly Arlot doesn't seem as good. When you still want setup, the Selena herself isn't sufficient. But I feel like if you want some damage, maybe Lapu-Lapu is your next best bet. It's decent damage. But the current pool doesn't really have, good heroes in the XP and roam to help you clear lanes fast, right? You're relying on primarily the mage, but in this case, I think only the Moskov has that capacity to do so.
Yep. And it looks like Cambodia is afraid to commit to the Arlot because they still see the Phoveus is out there. The Claude gets locked in by Kabuki. It's an old school pick for the franchise player for Liquid ID, now playing for his country. Team Cambodia, they have to lock in their EXP laner and the roamer here.
Did get the Cho banned out. Just now we saw the Indonesia really respecting Boxy. That's one of his signature, his most comfortable pick. It's more towards that XP lane, right? No glue. I mean, there's still Phoveus and Arlot. You could take. I want to say Arlot, but then you need a roamer that can really kind of follow up with that. It has to be a package right now. They don't really have the setup aside from a Selena. So okay, Arlot and the Hilda to deal with the Hayabusa early on.
In this case, maybe you throw the Hilda onto Rome and then EXP Arlot. Depends on what the matchup is. So that's one of the cool things Team Cambodia has done here. And of course, you respond with a Phoveus. So this basically sends the Hilda into the EXP lane and then the Arlot to roam. That's what I would do, just to protect that lane.
Yeah, I would expect that too. Judging by the swaps, it seems like they are putting Boxy on the Hilda. So we do see the priority, right? They don't mind letting Wadu take a beating, but they sure as heck want Boxy to slow down Joe as much as he can.
Okay. I think Wadu is just going to have to hunker down. Wadu is going to say, all right, I'll take it. If I lose this lane, so be it. I will just clear it, and then I'll join fights. This is better than throwing a Hilda onto the XP to just give the Arlot in mid, that trio mid, a hard job because they have to. Let's see. Going into game number 1, it is indeed still the XP lane Arlot. Let's watch these initial rotations and see how hard of a matchup it is for Wadu going up against Aran.
I think it definitely goes back to what you were saying, right? The XP lane is so important. You have to be willing to just take it and be like, it's okay. As long as you don't start chain feeding and you don't lose your turret too early on, I think it's a trade that Cambodia is willing to take, and I think it's worth it. But again, the condition has to be you keep the lane as a dead lane and you don't end up letting the enemy jungle snowball out of an early rotation.
And between these two, I think it's likely, oh, what's up? Top lane, big action already.
Just 3 members of Cambodia on the top side. Of course, for Aran, he doesn't really care about that. This Phoveus can hold his own. Detective is the one that needs a bit of attention with Witty in the jungle. Should be able to get the purple buff for himself. Witty just getting information. And attempted steal, doesn't really get it, but it forces a flicker out of Oppie. And Boxy also needs to run away. Shadowkill comes out, first blood for the side of Indonesia, and now they want to somehow get this Hayabusa out of the way, and they will do so with the slam of the spear, 1-for-1 trade in the Cambodian jungle.
Ju gets taken out. Good trade here for Boxy, and that immediately gets rid of all my worries. Oh no! That's Witty getting punished! He didn't exit the lane, the jungle fast enough. I was about to say, Ju is the one who should be more likely to snowball, but that gets shut down. He died so soon.
Being held back by Wadu, who refuses to let him roll out of there for free. And initially, it was Detective that was behind in experience, but off of that, he caught out, right? Hit level 4 at the right time, gets a free shutdown on the top lane. Turtle does spawn. It seems like Orion's gonna be holding Boxy in place. There won't be any contest for Indonesia, so it's an easy turtle for Joe.
So Indonesia able to land on their feet and reposition, given the information that Detective is not in the vicinity. I wonder what Cambodia's plans are. I don't know if that's a very smart way to get caught.
Instantly punished. That's a second takedown for Detective, and that's one of the ways to do so. I think we are seeing the application of this Hilda roam. You just keep up better with the Boxia. And now they're pressuring Kabuki bottom side, pin him to the wall. Boxy's gonna take aggro, no kill angle.
So far, it looks like Cambodia are in control, even when it comes to laning. Fresh wave coming up for both gold laners. That's Kabuki. He's doing okay. In all fairness, Kabuki, despite the mayhem across the map, is getting some safe farm. This mid trio by Indonesia are doing well to protect him, but if it's coming at the cost of Witty's life, oh, in comes Opie!
An attempt assassination onto Yehescu, but still not able to fulfill that. The damage is not enough, so they end up losing Boxy. Opie still jumps back in, and this time doesn't have the backup. Indonesia just walks away. They still have the shadow kill if they want to go onto Jing bottom side. They gotta be very careful. Detective actually gets caught in his own jungle, able to escape with a sliver of health.
That's Traceless for ya. Again, one of the reasons why Yisenshin is so in demand. Has macro control, has mechanical utilities, and crazy damage when he has the items. 4 minutes in, it's Indonesia as the first turtle. Now another spawning in the upper quarter. So slowly but surely, I think Ju is just checking how much he can get away with. And Witty, he's only died twice, which I think is relatively low given how much of space he's buying for the rest of the map on behalf of Team Indonesia.
I think the something that Team Indonesia can be relieved about is the fact that most of the goal right now is on Wadu. At least he's the one with the most takedowns, right? Lowest impact in this early game. If it was on Detective, it would be a slightly different story. Yes, good. This spot out Wadu, trying to chunk his health bar down. Meanwhile, they caught someone, and that's Boxy. He's gonna flicker away to safety as Wadu just solo kills Yehescu at the cost of their Roma. I think that's worth it for Cambodia. Another Abyssal Arrow lands onto Aran, and that's gonna be turtle for Cambodia. But they want more though. Witty is the next target. He's gonna use the Revitalize to try and escape Wadu with the final slash. Brings him back. Mega kill for Wadu as Ju jumps onto Detective, tries to take him down. Opie is around, and Kabuki shows up for the cleanup, and Indonesia finds a trade.
Call that killing two birds with one stone. I believe Kabuki was just going to mid to double lane and get some farm, but suddenly he walks away with a kill. This does give some space to Zing and put down Indonesia's tier 1 in the gold lane down to about a third of its health, but still, Indonesia firing off on all cylinders, making Cambodia work for this advantage. Now it's gone. There's not even 100 gold between these two squads.
As close as it can get. Definitely what was expected out of this opening match. I mean, fortunately, Detective didn't get that kill onto Witty, because that would have procced the killing spree. Maybe get a snowball going in that earlier fight. Now the pressure shifts over to the bottom side, but once more, Team Cambodia doing very well with Boxy. Even though he has gone down 3 times, he's keeping up with the rotation and making sure that the core members are safe.
Yeah, between the trading Boxy is doing with Witty, I'll say keep it up, young man. Keep it up. Keep going, Christian. Keep forcing these fights and keep jumping Wadu onto Aran here. Alright, so they've left their XP lane. I think Aran knows that there's not a fight he can win there. And Zing gets the first push.
All thanks to Detective forcing Kabuki back. So that's turret in the bottom lane going over to Team Cambodia. They even force out with his ultimate. Gets slowed down by the arrow, pause to revitalize, pin to the wall. That should be an easy kill. That one, Jing will be picking it up. And unfortunately, the flicker final slash a bit late from Wadu, but still they force Kabuki back. Spill of destruction up top doesn't connect onto Ju, so he gets free turret damage.
Okay, so so far this is good for Cambodia, despite just having 1,000 gold. I'll say the fact that Zing is getting farm, Zing won his lane, and Zing is now up on gold, I reckon, but down on EXP. I'm thinking, how does he reconcile that? Where does he go? Does he go for a switch now? Or does he expect the fact that he can keep dominating his lane, keep staying here, and then force someone to respond to him because he can actually go coast to coast? Looking at the items, he actually is up by 200. That's not bad.
They use the detective ult. They saw and attempted steal on the purple buff, and Aran, unfortunately, gets pinned down. And that's another takedown. Jing finds his second kill. Only person, I think the only person with space right now on Team Indonesia is probably Ju. The arrow now connects onto Kabuki. The pin doesn't really follow up, but ooh, Kabuki dangerously low. Lethal Ignition almost taken down, but SOD will connect. Perfect snipe from Jing. Mid tier 1 goes down. Team Cambodia continuing the snowball. Boxy jumps onto Ju. Shadow kill will allow Ju to get the kill, but Wadu on top of him and just takes him out with the vengeance. He is straight up unstoppable on this Arlet.
Zing, zing, zing. This is his prime form. Peak Zing has entered the building. This is how he played in MPL Cambodia Season 7. I have a t-shirt because of this young man and how well he plays. I wear it proudly to rep MPL KH. He is making the most of all of these sacrifices across the board. Not to mention how Wadu is changing the course of team fights for Indonesia single-handedly. How do they still have no deaths and walking away with 5 kills? What was the build on this guy? I wasn't checking what the Arlet was. Is he a damage Arlet?
I would think not. I feel like he's still a bruiser Arlet. He's just getting all these free resets, right? All these crowd controls from his teammates are triggering the passive for him.
Whoa!
Boxy's gonna get punished. A 5-man gang squad in the bushes. Still want to follow up 4-man final slash. Jing now goes to work, but the Feather Airstrike is gonna push him back. More than enough for Indonesia to force a retreat from Team Cambodia, but at the cost of Aran, who ends up going down. And now the snowball will begin. The boat connects onto Ju. The Tracers, not enough, but Wadu once more to the rescue. And Team Cambodia comes up with 3.
Mountain Shocker is just too good. For the past 48 hours, Husky, I have been drooling and salivating at the best parts of most team fights started. Mountain Shocker with the stun right after. Look at this, Cambodia blitzing the Lord. Can they do this? Oh, they can. They get away with it. They don't get punished.
It's a free objective with Ju not around, and we actually saw the item from Wadu. He went Hunter Strike into Oracles. Now he just got a magic dagger. So you're right, he is going damage, and that explains, like this, when we came to the game and we saw Wadu on the Arlet, we were thinking that, okay, his job is just to hold the lane against Aran and, not chain feed. He's chain feeding on the Indonesian players. He is 7-0-3, Leo.
This is gross. I don't know what to name MVP right now if Cambodia were to win and run away with this. Wadu or Zing. I think they're competing amongst each other now, more so than just to get glory for Cambodia. Team Indonesia up against the walls here, down about 4K, 5K safe. Detective just secured his Blade of Despair, so it's kind of hard. Wadu threatening here against Ju. Jumps on him under the tier 2.
They didn't really take care of the structure. Wadu, if he gets away from this, it's going to be a blasphemy, but thankfully he does end up going down. Boxy able to hold the front. SOD doesn't connect. Witty will now have to start backing off, but unfortunately I think he has overextended. Mountain Shocker, the boat hits the air, and Witty gets away.
Unfortunate that the shutdown got on Wadu, and best part of it all for Indonesia, it went to Kabuki. Am I right to say that it went on Kabuki? That's a lot of items and a lot of money you put on that Claude right now at the 10-minute mark.
That's a very needed shutdown, right? Puts him closer to the Winds of Nature. He's 600-700 gold network behind Jing. They both are essentially going for the same item build, with Jing just getting his Winds of Nature. But if Indonesia just drags it out a bit more, then Kabuki will be in the same spot, and allows him to stay safer from Detective as well. Because without the one, Detective can literally 3-shot him and not allow him to be in the fight with the Blazing Duet. That will change in a bit. I think it's a bit of a overextension from Team Cambodia. They didn't really need to do that. But for Team Indonesia, they can breathe a sigh of relief.
It's not over just yet. I think Team Indonesia have a solid high ground defense. They also have quite the power spike. Again, this is a relatively greedy lineup they drafted. Triple core, the Farsa, the Hayabusa, and the Claude. Not to even mention Aran might even start popping off with his Phoveus, which, again, possibly might be the most underwhelming part of their draft. Do you agree, Husky? Because we haven't really seen the Phoveus threaten much against anyone from Team Cambodia.
No, in fact, he was just getting chain control, right? Like, he wants to join the fight. There's really nothing much he could do. There's no ideal target for Aran to jump on. I think he just has to accept the fact that he's a sponge. He's going to soak up damage as much as he can, and then let the rest of his team do the job. Because every single time we see Aran showed up, he's either forced away from the fight, or he just gets chain CC and then killed off.
And it's been a tough time for Aran. Again, he's forced to be an anchor. He has to somehow find a way to make these fights last longer so that Indonesia can find a more favorable position here in this 11.5-minute game. They're down 5K. Suddenly, Cambodia found a lead again after the shutdown. Arrow thrown out. It's just Weedy. Wow, Boxy's life is just so much more valuable. His deaths are so much more efficient for his team. Weedy coming in.
Really wants to force an engagement, but can he soak up enough damage to his team? That to be the case. Wadu! Again, a flicker final slash to the back line. They take out Ju, and a double kill for Detective SOD. Barely dodged by Iesf, but this fight done and dusted. Once more, Wadu being the difference maker, cancelling the feather airstrike alongside the ultimate engage, and Cambodia comes out with 3 on top.
For free, Husky, for free. Not a single member fell by Team Indonesia. They tried, they gave it their old Boy Scout try, but it only got them here with Cambodia inside their base. Down goes the mid lane inhibitor. Top lane gonna follow through. Aran is trying!
He's gonna try and soak up as much output as possible. Even jumps in with the Infernal Pursuit, but you know that he's gonna go down. Mega kill for Detective. Wadu doesn't really accept the final bounce. In fact, Ju gets away with nothing to boot. 2 low health members on Cambodia and 2 inhibitors down for Indonesia.
And the Kamai squad
Blue team turret
get away with Grand Theft Orange. This is still a good position for them. They can actually try to take the Lord here, but I think they need to recover the map. Bottom lane looking juicy for Team Indonesia. Big fat wave rolling through there. The jungle still rife with farm, so that is OP and Zing clearing it out. But look, I don't know if this is the right call. Husky, Weedy is still looking for a play. They're down about 8,000 gold, and he's still looking for a play.
I think if they want to make something happen, it has to be quick, right? It has to be in and out. Maybe you throw Weedy's life away, but you get a valuable takedown for Ju. It's a tall task. They are quite far behind. Mountain Shaka unleashed, and now Weedy once more caught, and he's going to be sacrificed. There's really nothing that he could do at this point. He gets info for his team, but now this Lord is in jeopardy. Another arrow connects onto Aran. Indonesia basically shut out from the objective, and Team Cambodia finds the second Lord, but I think they can go for more. SOD connects, shallow kill, forced out. They do end up taking OP down. Joe with a good takedown. Water to the back line. Once more, final slash secures Aran's demise. And now Jing is going to follow up forward. Cambodia up 1 man.
Regroup here for Team Cambodia. Readying for the assault. Lord going to be spawning in about 5 seconds. For Team Indonesia, the defense of a lifetime. Aran will be out of commission. Oh, Wadu breaks out!
And he goes for your hit skill. Allows Detective to get the takedown. The boat connects for the Mountain Shocker. And a Winter Crown just to negate the shadow kill. This game pretty much done and dusted unless Kabuki can make magic happen. Actually takes that Detective. They go onto the Crystal. Jing does have enough health to work with. And with the Lord coming in, game 1 for Team Cambodia.
He did the Zing. He stayed away from the fight. And he just focused on the base with about 1 HP left on both of them, on everyone. Team Cambodia at match point. Amazing work. Husky, I think this is more of Indonesia doing so many vibe checks and trying too many things in the short amount of time that they got punished hard.
Yeah, they really did. We the first invade, it looked good, right? They attempted to steal the purple buff and protect it. They didn't get it, but they were still ahead in experience. And then we saw the punish start coming in. We saw Aran lose control of the lane, and there was no one there to check Wadu. He was setting everything up. You want a team fight? Cool, I'll do it. There's a solo queue angle. I'll go for the solo queue. Wadu was the key for Team Cambodia. We wanted him to just be a pillar, but he became more than that. He became the catalyst for Team Cambodia from that mid to late game to start winning small skirmishes that converted into big fights.
Wadu was more than just a pillar, Husky. Wadu was the whole damn house. Look at this. Even in the later parts of the early game, post laning, here in the mid game towards the last turtle, he was doing everything for Team Cambodia and compromising Team Indonesia's approaches to any sort of solid ground to stand on, to try and get farm on Kabuki, to try and get Ju to do anything. So maybe they had a solid mid trio, but if the map couldn't be settled for your team like this, then it's a non-starter. Great going here for Team Cambodia.
Yeah, this one was a massive, final slash. If it weren't for Yeheskyu's Feather S, right, deterring Team Cambodia away, I think that would have been a nasty wipeout. And even then, with everything from the kitchen sink thrown at Team Cambodia, they still came up with the better trade. And when we see the XP laners mirror each other's movement, there was a distinct difference where Wadu gets to participate in all these interactions, whereas for Aran, he's forced to sit and watch it happen because the moment he walks up, he's gonna get pummeled.
And get pummeled he did. That's an understatement. Towards the later part of the game, this was a relatively quick game, about 7 minutes, 8 minutes in, Aran just knew that he wasn't doing much. He was actually being more of a liability. Look, he was just serving up farm to Team Cambodia, so he just made himself scarce. I don't know if that's the best thing to do at this point, but what a read. Again, this is how you play Arlott into the Phoveus. Just run away, play the map instead of the lane, and then you're good to go. Wow, I don't think you could do that. I don't think you could get away with this kind of matchup, because usually the Arlott just loses.
Yeah, I mean, he got away with way too much. The fact that his first item is straight up a Hunter Strike really says a lot about the game that Wadu had. Even having a rose gold media by the time the game ended, we wanted to see if Team Indonesia would utilize this mid trio, and maybe you give Aran a foot up in the matchup just by bringing the presence to the top side. But after one failed invade and giving Wadu 2 kills, they just completely abandoned the idea. They were not able to translate that over to Jing. They were not able to translate it to provide pressure to Oppi, because he was just straight up placing traps all around the map. This trio fell apart pretty quickly for the Indonesian team.
Yeah, again, it was clear what Team Indonesia was trying to do. Weedy was actually doing what Baxi was doing, but without the same returns, because the XP lane wasn't doing as much in return for them.
Yeah.
So Team Indonesia have to go back to the drawing board, very clearly see how the stats are skewed against them, and Team Cambodia, they just continue playing their game. I have no further words for Team Cambodia here going into match point for them. This was a solid draft.
Incredibly solid, with both teams throwing out some sort of a curveball. We saw Team Indonesia do that. They first pick a Farsa, they follow up with the Baxia, and then they throw in the Hayabusa. And that's where you kind of straight up revealed your card, right? They didn't think of hiding it long enough. They were worried about maybe Hayabusa getting banned out if they don't pick it here. But then Cambodia having the blue side pick, which arguably is the stronger side in this case, they picked the Arlott Hilda last. And the curveball was putting Hilda in the roam role to match the Baxter's rotation, but getting a lot more return because he's just more valuable as a sandbag, I think, as the game progresses.
And besides just the peeling and taking damage, the Hilda is also a threat to the random softies. Like, the Hilda can pounce on the Farsa. She can also pounce on the Claude. Maybe if the random moments that the Hayabusa Ju was just sitting there, These are all things that Boxy could do that Widdy couldn't.
Yeah, Widdy just, he presses out, presses Revitalize, and then he prays. He prays that he soaks up enough damage, and he prays that his team has enough damage, but pretty ult-reliant as well, right? Before Kabuki fully comes online, it's either you get a good Feather Airstrike or a good Shadow Kill. Once those cooldowns are out, you just have Detective running at you.
So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, Team Indonesia have to figure out how to extend this series or fold in the hands of Team Cambodia. You're watching the Asian Oceania qualifiers of the Iesf Esports qualifier. We are featuring Mobile Legends Bang Bang Men's. His name is Husky. My name is Leo. We'll be right back after this short break. Welcome back. You're watching the Asia and Oceania qualifiers for World Esports IESF featuring Mobile Legends Bang Bang. You're back in here on the desk with Leo and Husky, and we just witnessed Team Cambodia, pardon my French, ladies and gentlemen, wipe the floor with Team Indonesia in a very quick game one.
Yeah, it really felt like it wasn't close. I mean, from the draft, it looked 50-50. It looked like, both teams had a pretty decent idea on how to play it. But once the first 5 minutes elapsed, we can clearly see the power difference on how in sync Team Cambodia was, how fast they were playing the draft, and just everything falling into place. Despite us, saying that the XP lane is going to be the dead lane, the static lane that doesn't interact as much, it ended up becoming the lane that defied the game.
All right, Husky, for the sake of a second chance and the benefit of the doubt, what if Team Indonesia are just pushing the boundaries? What if game one really was just a giant vibe check to see how much they can get away with?
I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, knowing this team, even back in the local league, even last year, they have been a team that vibes, right? Like they get a good vibe that day. They get up to a strong start. They get to play fast and hard. It's like this meme that I remember the team putting out is the cycle of their winnings, right? We win, we start losing, we try to find our vibe, we lose more, and then we win. And if we are following that chain of cycle, I think we're at the trying to find our vibe back process.
There's only so much finding that you can do before you notice that, hey, series is over. And that literally comes here now. Because after this game, if they can't find a way to win against Team Cambodia, who literally does not know what the breaks are, then they have 0 points. And that's what makes me think otherwise, that this is more than just a download game for the Brawl server representatives out of Indonesia. points are on the line, man. Unless you sweep, that's 1 point you gave over. It's not free for you to do that. So now they decide to go blue. They will start here. They'll ban out the Lancelot, the Farsa, and the CC, and then Team Cambodia will take out the Fanny and the 1-1.
Ah, so they still ban the CC on the blue side, right? The red side ban, understandable, but this blue side CC ban, it has to mean something. Right? On red side, it's like, okay, you don't want the CC first pick. We've seen that the mid-season cup. We've seen it work out for some teams, but on the blue side ban, which means Aran maybe is given priority, and if that's the case, you take Arlet here. Right? I mean, Arlet has to kind of go up on the list, because if not, then what else could that mean?
Yeah, they gotta. This has to be the Arlet or not. It's a Baksha. Do they even decide? Are they even thinking to flex the Baksha? Because if this is just Widdy's pick, like, I don't know how important it is to have Widdy on the Baksha now.
I mean, the Baxia, Widdy, like Rome Baxia is probably like a May thing. It's like more than 3 months ago, right? More than 3 months ago when you know, Gabe decided to bring it to MPL Malaysia, you know, and be like, hey, this is a Baxia Rome, and then we saw it in MPL ID as well, but it quickly faded away. So if that's the road that they're taking, I feel like it's a pretty weird hill to die on.
And to do it so soon, to do it so quickly. Here now, Team Cambodia brings back an old flame. Hasn't really been much of a big threat, but they pair it up with a very strong pick. The Kimmy in mid, for the most part, has been fading, but Kalia is still a solid pick if you know what you're doing. And they pick it into the Baksha. Oh my lord, they pick it into the Baksha. Husky, we forgot that Zushin is open. Zushin Baksha, very good combo. Alongside the Moscow. What is up with this draft?
Oh lord, I'm tearing up a little bit. Mid Kimmy definitely mid Kimmy into Zushin is like, okay, you charge up your Starlium gun, and then you get mid priority. I mean, it's a good pick for mid prio, same as the Zushin, but with a Baxia around, once he gets the blade armor, it becomes a whole different story. But also, you can't really flex her into the gold lane, because last time we saw Kimmy go, we know how that went down. It was a complete stomp at the mid-season cup. So they instantly reveal the gold lane. They take the Granger. I'm okay with that. So the Arlet gets completely ignored.
Again, in game 1, a quick reminder, the Arlet was picked in blue 4 and 5. So maybe when the coast is clear and you know what you're dealing with, is when you pick the Arlet. Like if Team Cambodia is going to do it, they're going to do it if they're sure of how they can weaponize the Arlet. So I understand it, I get it. But what's Team Indonesia missing right now, both teams actually, is a jungler. Are they going to just start banning out junglers and then just struggling that way? Are we going to have to go to like tier B, A-? Like, will we see the Lucas back?
There is a chance. If there's any team that is in need of a jungler, it's definitely Team Cambodia. You know, we still have the Baxia for Team Indonesia if they are pushed down that route. So I mean, Joy is still up, I guess. Joy,
Hayabusa too.
Hayabusa. We have the if you really go down to utilities, probably Xborg, Fredrin, Akai. Knowing Detective, he's probably telling his team that, hey, give me like an assassin or something, right? So if Hayabusa doesn't get banned out, I can see the Hayabusa getting picked up in the next slot, even though there's a Moskov. That's still, I think, the next best option.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past Team Indonesia to actually just finesse in that Hayabusa, because it's very good right now against two softies in the Granger and the Kimmy. Even Amon, you know, in the heyday of triple marksman with Yisun Shin in the jungle, you can do triple marksman and then the softies just melt with Amon. I like the read of Team Cambodia here into the Angela, because look at these 3 heroes for Indonesia. That is an Angela setup. So, good call. We take it out. And there's the Arlet. Okay, so they know.
Yep. So this does leave the Phobius once more. I mean, Aran can go Lapu Lapu. You're talking about softies, right? Lapu, Moscow, Baxia, it seems like good options to just jump the backline and finish the job. And I think not the worst laning phase into the Arlet too. But if they put Aran back on the Phobius, the jungler suddenly has a lot of responsibility, because right now they don't really have the much damage. They're plenty of crowd control, but the damage output, not so much.
Very odd for now, given the first 3. Team Indonesia, though, They dig deep. They bring out the Lolita to answer the double marksman. So I see the logic, but let's wait for execution. We haven't really seen a Lolita pop off in a long while. There's a Lapu-Lapu. What does Team Cambodia put into the jungle? What does Detective get?
I do wonder. I mean, Lolita, you can preemptively let loose that Numenon Blast, but still it can be cancelled. I mean, there's a couple of ways for Team Cambodia to really knock you out of focus, you know, and prevent the follow-up that you want. If Witty can land some sick, you know, deflection with the bulwark, that would be great. But we did talk about the Akai being a possibility, and with the Lolita in play, the Akai is so much juicier in the jungle role.
Okay, they know that the Baksha will be going to the jungle after wrapping up their draft, so they say, hey, go utility against utility and isolate that Baksha. Let's see how Detective rocks his Akai. So far, drafts are already in. Will this double marksman lineup get punished, Husky? Because I like how there's 3 solid frontliners. I think they can get away with it.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that there's a bigger chance of them getting, you know, having a harder game if it was like an assassin jungler for Team Indonesia, right? I mean, the Hayabusa was technically open if they wanted to go for it in 4-5, but they didn't. So the only threat I say is probably the Aran diving with the bravest fighter. But aside from that, I feel like Team Cambodia could play this long range, you know, poke you down, take you out bit by bit, and then when they see the opportunity, then it's Detective showtime.
Possibly the last game in this series between Team Indonesia and Team Cambodia. Get ready, folks. It's match point for the Khmer in this best of 3. Something to note, Husky. A lot of purifies now amongst Team Indonesia. They so much respect Wadu's Arlet. Like that is emotional damage dealt. Now Boxy, oh, very low. OP!
Able to flicker away. His level 2, so gets a bit of the juice to stay alive. But that is a win in Indonesia's book for sure. Detective cannot contest his objective, sadly. I think he still got the litho though.
Off cam! Woo!
He still won.
Look at that.
Almost a solo kill down. Bo Jing straight up wins his lane.
Oh, I'm pretty sure the regenerate has been popped by Kabuki already. Still more action in mid!
Boxy continues to fight and just keep punching into Witty's shoe. And here comes Joe, shows up, tries to go for invade in the jungle. You know the Detective does not have retribution just yet. Maybe an attempt to steal the buff away. And Boxy attempt to help Detective very down low. Boxy kind of finally shows up. Witty there as well. Detective hits level 4. He hits the retry button on time, and that ultimate allows Team Cambodia to get 2 free kills.
The art of the punish, and who'd have thunk the Akai would hit level 4. Did you even see the EXP bar on that Panda? How did that happen?
Oh man, Joe must be feeling so bad right now, losing 2 retribution fights against Detective. What? It's a replay of game 1, Leo. They go for an invade. They ended up losing members, but this time the cascading effect is a lot worse because Turtle priority goes over to Cambodia. Wadu flickers away. Aran follows up with his own flicker, jumps onto Wadu, trying to take him out. Wadu heals up with the Brave Smite, and still Aran finds the kill, and finally Joe gets something done. Finds the turtle. Wadu, Aran with a double.
Much better recovery here for Team Indonesia. Back in the driver's seat. It all started with Wadu getting whittled down by Aran. Now, Zing caught up between 2!
The SOD doesn't connect, and Zing will have to blow his flicker, but it's not over just yet. Here comes Lord Witty. Most likely will find the takedown. An easy one for Yehescu.
Team Indonesia have a vendetta against Zing, given what he did in game number 1. And I understand it. I get it. But is this the right call? Should Team Indonesia really be bearing down on the Granger, or should they worry about Wadu again? Because look, Wadu's left alone.
A free lane, but I guess with Aran on this Lapu-Lapu, they can afford to, you know, let Wadu be on his own a lot often, since that this Lapu-Lapu can match up with him better than the Phobius can, at least in the current circumstances. The distraction pulse, pull Yehescu back, but no follow-up. Again, Witty puts up the bulwark, and that's the end of that.
So we're seeing now how Indonesia's unorthodox but very specific draft is answering what Cambodia is putting on the table. Save for that little stumble in the initial invade, Indonesia have found a way to recover. A very splendid position for them to be in now. 30 seconds until another turtle spawns. Lower quarter. Looking at the items, good chunk of it on mid. The advantage for Team Indonesia. Another good chunk of it in the EXP. So yeah, I think they should just leave this alone. Just don't bother Wadu and Aran. Just let Aran do his thing.
I mean, if they can somehow bring the pressure to Wadu and let Aran snowball further, suddenly the mid game becomes a lot more easy to play for Indonesia. Man, Lapu Lapu deals so much damage, is so durable. We say that he is the primary threat to the backline, but we saw how he destroyed Wadu's health bar early on, a kidnap on to Aran, and he's gone, and that's a primary threat eliminated. The lift back on the Wadu, Numino Blast charge up on the tree, but Witty needs to follow up and doesn't find it. Wadu does though with his final slash. A quick escape for the rest of Indonesia, but they still end up losing Ju. So Team Cambodia comes out on top without giving anything away.
By God, they could have even taken down Witty. Christian just got away barely. And oh, SOD finds one! Zing! Oh, is he gonna press it?
With Boxy, definitely not.
Woo.
And free gold for Xing. This Granger, I mean, he's been in the face of Kabuki the entire game. And sure, he did go down early on, but nothing has changed. In fact, Team Indonesia going for a lane swap. They put Aran down bot because they need to free up Kabuki. But then now Kabuki is up against Wadu and is not getting any easier.
Wadu literally pressed load game and continued the momentum he had from game number 1 and is the same beast. Look at this, they're up by about 1,000 gold now with another turtle spawning in a minute. Team Cambodia, oh no, Zing just got his Sky Piercer. Is that a Piercer after Hunter Strike? Did he get that much farm already? Under 6 minutes?
I think so. I mean, he has been winning, dominating the lane. Funnily enough, he has lesser experience compared to Kabuki. I think by half a level. But still, his network should be slightly more than the Moskov.
Yeah, that's been the story even in game 1. I was watching how some way, somehow, Kabuki keeps getting better EXP, but less gold. Interesting dynamics on the economy here for Team Cambodia. A lot of presence up top. 20 seconds until another turtle. There's just dueling. Look at this, Wadu and Aran.
Turtle spawning in just a bit too. I mean, we saw the War Axe just got completed for Aran. Fleeting time for Boxy too. Very early fleeting time. That should be a first item. So
yep, that is a clear sign that Boxy wants to keep fighting. Boxy wants to keep going and hitting people with a German suplex, pushing them closer to Cambodia's firepower. That's 4 members. OP charging up the traction pulse. Oh, gets thrown back! Ouch!
Witty sends it back to Team Cambodia. Now the fight's gonna break out. Bravest fighter, Aran, needs to get work done. They find a clean up, the kidnap, and again a 4-man final slash for Wadu to set it up. Aran did hit the back line, takes out Boxy. Witty able to run away. And the health bars from the side of Team Cambodia dwindling. Witty flickers forward, finds the elimination onto Oppi. Zing finally shows up a bit late to the party. The bulwark put up by Witty to defend themselves from this objective steal. And in the end, it's 3 down for Team Cambodia, but Xing is still going with the help of Wadu. Final slash misses, but Ran gets his ultimate back. Xing barely escapes, and Team Indonesia comes out on top.
Team Cambodia couldn't find their perfect front to back. Again, as advertised, Aran just ruined everything. Aran just ran through their front lines. Aran ran through their formation and just compromised Team Cambodia. It also doesn't help that Zing came from God knows where. Was he pushing up top? Because he was literally just running and double timing towards the fight. He took down 1 or 2, got a double if I'm not mistaken, but he was too little too late. So that is the story of that turtle fight. Not to mention, Yehezkiel is so good at getting rid of these frontliners that the marksman couldn't fight back. Wadu comes into 3.
3 people on top of Wadu. Can he stay alive long enough? Detective Cousin helping out with a heavy spin. Wadu makes it away. And now they jump into Kabuki. He's underneath the turret. Able to dash away with the step. And Wadu again with a stun. He's surviving way too long. Finally, Wadu goes down. And Oppi arrives. The bulwark put up by Witty, saving his teammate just in time. So it's 3 for 1. Witty, the savior.
3 for 1, massive wins here for Indonesia. Boxy unable to find anyone to punish. At least Cambodia's sacrifices would not be in vain. They saved their tier 1. But at what cost? Blood, meat, and even their purple. Oh no! Grand Theft Purple Indonesia barreling forward. They are now in the lead, about 500 gold.
With all that has happened, the past 2 skirmishes that Team Cambodia lost, they still aren't that far behind. I mean, they're still farming up pretty well. You know, mid turret stays alive, bottom tier 1 goes down thanks to Kabuki pushing. I feel like if you're Team Cambodia, you still have the capacity to fight, right? We saw how mechanically sound Wadu was on the Arlet. Sure, he went down, but it took Indonesia so long just to kill this Arlet with the help of Detective by the helm. They definitely want to contest for this Lord. Kabuki can now split push.
Alright, Cambodia starting up the Lord Dons. Wadu catches one. Now it's Ju. Aran pops the bravest fighter.
Flickers forward and a good heavy spin to isolate Aran and Ju. Meanwhile, Yehezkiel just trying to keep his backline alive, but they're gonna run him down. Opie finds the kill. And now for Team Indonesia, it's just buy time for Kabuki to keep split pushing. 2 turrets fall on the top lane, and Kabuki has gotten the job done. Flicker forward, follow up for Boxy just now. Wasn't able to find anything, but they were able to execute Ju. Another Sky Piercer stack given over to Shing, the 3rd of this game. Holy Shield pop on the top inhibitor. Witty, Kabuki, and Aran show back up. Aran's gonna have his bravest fighter back up again. Jump to the back line. Opie with the damage. Final slash from Wadu. And both Witty and Kabuki go down. Aran to follow. Team Cambodia wins the extended fight.
You cannot team fight against a lineup like this, especially when you are short on bodies. Team Cambodia played the defense well up top. Team Cambodia forced Team Indonesia to respond in the turtle pit, the Lord pit now at this point, and get away with so much. Now it's their turn to punish. Opie building himself the Blood Wings, able to withstand even damage being thrown out by Aran. So here's one way to deal with the Lapu Lapu. You overload him with stimuli. You give him so many targets from different positions, and the next thing you know, Indonesia are chasing too many goose. They're chasing too many targets and they get split up themselves. Here's a concealed play coming in. All just to push mid lane tier 2. Cambodia in control of the map.
The Lord still pushing too. They have a very good wave setup on all 3 lanes. They're in a prime position to pop all holy shields as well. So Kabuki is going to try to stop the bottom one from going off. But it's going to pop in 30 seconds regardless. Team Cambodia looking for the first inhibitor top side. And now there's going to be a tidal strike into a grab bag. There goes your jungler for Team Indonesia. The bulwark gets put up by Witty. They keep the inhibitor healthy for now. Half a health bar to go. New mid wave comes in. And now they engage. They just blow up your Yehezkiel. The Wiseman is gone. And it's up to the 3 remaining members of Indonesia to hold the fort. And they will do just that. But at the cost of an inhibitor.
Cambodia comes in unpunished, unfettered. They take away that inhibitor. They take away 2 in Ju and Yehezkiel, and they give no quarter. Looking at the items right now, huge gaps between the cores here. And this is very difficult. Oh wait, the answer, a half-cocked Numenon Blast.
And Boxy is still able to grab a target. Has Cambodia bit on more than they could chew because they just lost Boxy. Aran with a good stun. They will take out Detective. Wadu desperately trying to get away. Traction pulse reflected by Witty to deliver the 4 for him, and Kabuki cleans up. And Team Indonesia turns it around. A maniac for Kabuki.
To answer the question, yes, Husky, yes. Cambodia may have bitten off more than they could chew. And now Indonesia are running it in mid. Straight up. They might actually end this. It's all 5. Only Boxy will spawn.
And I don't think there's enough time. Team Indonesia barely pulling it off. But it's more than enough to send us to game number 3.
Heartbreaking loss for Team Cambodia. They had that game. And it was theirs to lose. And they did. Now Indonesia forces us to go all the way. Denying match point. Now they get momentum.
They do. It's definitely not the way you want to lose a game. I think Cambodia, they had the control. I mean, even the item progression tells you the story that they want to go hard and fast. It came at a time. First item fleeting time for Boxy. even the Granger had like almost full item, right? He was about to get a rose gold meter at one point. I feel like all they needed to do is just to play slow and patient. They got 2 inhibitors already. They didn't really need to rush, but the overzealousness came at a cost too heavy for them to pay.
Husky, they went too fast and they totally missed the pit stop. They ran over their own men, and now they have to recalibrate, regroup, and this was literally a game where they had to just slow down for a second. And this just shows you that despite Indonesia having a different roster, their senses and their instincts are on point. Their hunger for victory, their killer instincts are sharp as ever. So you can never count them out. Cambodia, this is a hard lesson to learn from, man. Mid-series too.
Yeah, and Cambodia, like these players, this is not the first time that they experienced a defeat of this sort, right? Of where they had a control of a game and it slipped out, underneath their fingertips in a matter of seconds. But I gotta say, this Lolita pick, a lot of hidden moments where Witty was actually the hero. The amount of projectiles he was reflecting. Of course, one of the highlights being the final moment, he reflecting that traction pulse, allowing his teammates to clean up the fight. But up till that point, again, Team Cambodia were in total control. It was Indonesia that was overextending. It was Indonesia overestimating their output and getting punished. But it doesn't really matter if your opponents are also doing the same, overestimating their capabilities.
Here you'll see in the mid-game to the even late-game transition, Cambodia really found a way to split up Indonesia. But eventually, in one final moment, in a second of a vulnerability, Indonesia were able to funnel through Cambodia. And it happened here in this part of the map, no? In the orange side of the jungle, wherein the stars just aligned. Indonesia just put Cambodia where they wanted them and wiped them out. We'll see it here in just a bit.
Yeah, I mean, even this sequence got me worried for a bit with how long Detective and Wadu were able to hold on in the top lane. Of course, Indonesia still came out on top, but this was the final moment, right, where they really just overstepped. Like the front line was out of position, Wadu ran out of support, and then just good old Witty with the bulwark to allow the cleanup. Kabuki gets to show up. We talked about whether Kabuki can fill in the void of Aaron Shiki, and he did it this game.
Kabuki is a vet. He is a consummate professional, and he knows what is needed to get done. And here he did. They got the team all the way to a chance to take the series back. That was a 13-minute game. That did not feel like 13 minutes. It actually felt a little longer.
Yeah, we call Team Indonesia, the roster from the Brawl server, but hey, we can't forget about the Cambodian squads. They love to brawl as well. In fact, they brawl even harder. Scrappy, hard, chaotic, but they always make it seem like it's a dance. Like, it's just like they kind of trip over their own shoelaces.
Yep.
I thought it was just 10 minutes, right? But we did get one Lord, and even that entire Lord push sequence felt very, very fast.
They got 2 left feet, and I think they got left in the pace of game 1, but their lineup does not allow for such recklessness, because again, this is a 2 marksman lineup, and your CC, rather your crowd control, have to be placed very specifically. If these things don't happen, your lineup just crumbles, and that's what happened in that sequence before we closed up and are now taking a look at the stats. Interesting how Wadu still kind of got greedy and kept building damage items. You see that? He had a rose gold this early on.
He did. I think it's warranted. At a certain point, I feel like Wadu, if he just went more tanky this game, it would have been slightly better. They didn't really need like his damage output. You get that from Xing and Oppi, but perhaps they were playing from ahead and they were just playing to win, right? They were just let's overwhelm Team Indonesia. And then we end the game before we scale off, and this one came back to bite them just because of a quick lapse of judgment.
Yeah. Instead, I think they got overwhelmed. They're the ones who had all the options and saw what was possible and forced their way into this position, which they got punished for. So with that said, we're down to one more game. We have the decider, the rubber match in this best of three, coming your way in just a bit. I don't know what to say for Cambodia here because it was so clear. It was just that one moment wherein they forgot, oh no, we're a double marksman lineup. We shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I mean, we had a moment of worry whether this is going to end up being a 2-0 sweep. And, well, the game 2 has proven that it is not going to be a sweep. So Indonesia gets another chance.
With that said, we are going to go to a quick break. When we come back, the conclusion to this best of three between Team Indonesia and Team Cambodia coming your way. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are at the finale of this best of three. Once again, points on the line. Who walks away with two, who walks away with one? This is Team Indonesia versus Team Cambodia. Husky, I won't lie to you. Folks, watching, with God as my witness, that was all Cambodia. It was literally their game to lose, and they dared Indonesia.
Yeah, they took a gamble, I guess, right? They put too much chips on the table, and then they all in, and then they lost their whole house. They lost their house, they lost their car, they lost everything, and the game. And now there's a potential that they lose the series and be down one point compared to Indonesia. I think it's a heartbreak. We saw how Indonesia got ran over in game one, but now the momentum has shifted. After that comeback, I think they feel a lot better about themselves, about how they draft approaching this game. Whereas for Cambodia, they tried a different approach in game two. It worked out until they got over their head. Now it's back to the drawing board.
Yeah, this is more so a test of mental and reset than it is of mechanics and gameplay, right? I'm pretty sure Cambodia have sound understanding, sound meta know-how. Because again, their drafts, maybe more so the first one, are on point. The second one, oh, they were getting a little spicy, you know. But I think going into Game 3, they have to clear out all doubts. Going into Game 3, pretend like Game 2 did not happen. Because the more that they think about that, the more Indonesia gets into their heads and are more likely to get a reverse sweep.
Yeah, and I do wonder if they are going to prioritize the Moskov again. I mean, Moskov has won both games. They've gotten Arlet for free both games as well. I would want to say Game 2 was sort of an Arlet win, if not for the actual result. So I feel like these two picks is something that they could lean into. If they stick with the Granger, they just gotta remember that Team Indonesia are not shy to reveal some of the tricks up their up their sleeves, right? The witty, you know, Lolita, the first phase Baxia that can be flexed into both jungle and roam.
You know what? I concur. I think more so the Moskov, because even Zing found it hard to position himself and to make it into fights at the right time as the Granger. He's not used to just walking up. I think this young man likes to come in fashionably late. So the SOD might actually be the game changer for him. Now going into the draft, we see Assassins taken out first. That is the Fanny and the Lancelot. Cambodia on the play. I wonder if they'll try to get this Yusun Shin through. If they'll, like, you know, ban specifically so that the Yusun Shin sneaks through to make it into Blue 1.
Yeah. Like in Game 1, Team Indonesia did let the Yusun Shin through, right? And Detective had one of the best games. And this time they ban out the Jusin again. I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Heskill's Jusin has caused some big problems for the front line, even for, you know, people like Detective and Boxy is not easy to navigate. But I do like how Indonesia is respecting the Yisun Shin. They're not going to take any chances.
Okay, this rarely happens, folks, that the Lancelot and the Yisun Shin are banned in the same side. But the message is clear, all right? Ju would rather not deal with Detective on either of these heroes. So we will see a different pick. Cambodia now, 1-1. Oh, 1-1 is still at large. 1-1, Baksha, the usual suspects.
The one hero that was banned out, third pick for both games for Indonesia, was the CC. So that, let's see if they go for that again. If the 1-1 gets let through, I mean, it's one of Xing's comfort, right? We've seen Xing on that 1-1. He loves it a lot. But CC banned out by Cambodia this time.
So this ensures that at least that maybe the 1-1 makes it through now. The Farsa, the Baksha. So does Cambodia steal the Baksha? Do they do that here?
I think they can. If they don't, what else? I mean, Hayabusa for the jungle. If not, they can take Farsa, I guess. So they do take the Baksha away. High commodity.
Now what? Liquid, and in this case, Team Indonesia have played with the Baksha all through games 1 and 2. How do they answer for this missing piece? What are their comfort picks in the draft, whether it be in Rome or in the jungle? Farsa X, Farsa something would be good here in the first phase for them.
Yeah, Farsa. I mean, the Kalea is still open. Could go
Farsa Kalea is a combo.
Kalea. Yeah, it's a very easy to execute combo. Great kill pressure. They could consider that. I mean, there really isn't much option left in the mid lane. They take the Moskov. I also like this approach. It has been a very important hero in the series, Farsa Moskov.
Okay. So this is good. Again, the fact that even Zing would most likely want a Moskov more than a Granger, plus the Farsa that just covers bases in any mid-trio combo. Now Cambodia, they need to... I wonder if they're in a rush for the Granger. Or will they risk it to leave it open so that they maybe end up with a Harith or a Granger after bans?
I think they also don't want to reveal where this Baxia is going this early on. And that's one of the... I guess that's one of the traits you get if you pick the Baxia first phase. So Kalea and the Kimi... So yeah, Baxia gets revealed. It's going into the jungle for Detective. I guess they had to do it, right? Because if not, then Kalea goes over to Indonesia. Then you have a whole lot of other sets of problems to deal with.
So Kalea Kimi, this is the same combo they had in game 2. I think there's a part of them that wants to, run it back and say, we'll do that again, but better. We'll clean it up, and we'll win with this kind of lineup. We don't know where this Baksha, well, no, we now know where the Baksha is going for the most part. And then we also kind of know where the Kimi's going. How does Indonesia close up their first phase? Do they pick up a jungler now? Do they Hayabusa here? I think that's pretty safe. Hayabusa or Joy?
Wow, they go for the glue. Okay. I mean, it's not too bad of a pick actually, right? Doesn't matter where the Baxia goes, and we have seen Baxia XP. It's not a thing now, but this glue basically covers all the bases. Kimi doesn't have the damage to take out the glue. Kalea and Baxia absolutely hate this hero. The glue was banned out by Team Indonesia themselves, I think, in the first 2 games. Now they give it over to Aran. Power to Aran in the XP.
And they get away with it.
They get like 3 more bans, technically.
This is a very strong red 3 pick here for Team Indonesia. Now they go to bans. I think they can start locking down gold laners. They can just take away all the good gold laners.
Like, they don't even need to worry about the Arlet, right? And in fact, they saw Team Cambodia, they banned the CC. It's like, okay, you ban the CC, this is a free glue pick. Like, there's no sandbag on the side of in this XP lane now can effectively deal with the glue. Like, you have to just concede to the fact that Aran is going to have priority and he's going to be a menace, and start thinking about how to deal with it. We've seen that in the mid-season cup as well, where glue is such a powerful pick in the right team comp, you just ruin the game.
Yep. There's the Beatrix. So I think Indonesia is allowing the Harith for Team Cambodia, knowing that the Harith will suffer. The Harith will find it hard to pick fights and flourish underneath all that pressure, underneath the firepower of the Moskov, the Farsa, and even the threat of getting a mount by the glue. Roamers, is that what Cambodia is attacking here? They take out the Gatot. What else is a good roamer these days? Oh wow, no, the Joy. So they're okay with the Hayabusa.
Yeah, so Hayabusa is the last option, at least for assassin junglers. I mean, even from the first 3 picks, and just from the bans itself, I'm already liking what Team Indonesia is bringing, right? You take out Beatrix, I mean, very clear combo with Kalea, but also the Granger that naturally builds Skypiercer, threatens the glue, when he gets enough items. But with that remove, I really don't know what else is left for Team Cambodia to pick into the gold lane that can effectively win a matchup and deal with a glue. The Claude, that's as safe as it can get.
But it's very slow. It's safe, but slow. And with a Hayabusa out there, it's even more precarious for Zing. But hey, if he can get away with it. But yeah, you're right. That is one of the better ways of damage output to try and get rid. Imagine too the anti-synergy or the benefits for the Claude if you can get the Art of Thievery from the little glueling. That's a lot of move speed for you.
It is. I mean, this interaction is pretty rare, but in the event that the Aran ends up sticking onto Zing, if he picks a Claude, then suddenly there's nothing much he could do. So they go to the Bruno.
Yeah.
So big burst damage. They want to dominate the lane and hopefully use that as a launching pad to snowball.
And then in the EXP, they run the Hilda. So that's Wadu's Hilda. Now, one more pick for Team Indonesia. Witty doesn't have a hero yet. What else is left out there? Do you Lolita once more? Because there's still, look, 2 marksmen.
You can, I think. I think Lolita isn't too bad of an option. What else is there for Witty? He could go for Witty Cho if he really wants. That's also one of his comfort picks. Matilda, I mean, it's up, but I don't think you really need that.
Yeah. Oh, there's a Witty special. This is one of his favorite picks. Very comfortable with this Cho. So yeah, no, this is good. This is great because again, you could kick 2 solid targets, the Bruno or the Kimi, and then a Hilda out of the bush is a Hilda you're not thinking about. It's a Hilda you're not worried about. So Indonesia, solid draft, very liquid coated. Team Cambodia though, we've seen him try to win with a lineup like this. Husky, are you worried about the same thing? Because this is not the Arlet anymore. This is a
Yeah.
very honest Hilda that just stands in your face. They are I don't know if you agree with me, but they're lacking CC. They're lacking raw crowd control.
I completely agree. That's exactly my concern as well, right? In the first two games, they had Wadu to really be the primary, setup for the team, but now it all lies on Boxy's shoulders. He gets a good grab. Doesn't guarantee move, we get initiative, and then we still have to rely on the damage output from both the Bruno and the Kimmy to get the job done. But for Indonesia, oh boy, the later the game goes, the scarier it gets for Team Cambodia.
This is the decider. Game 3 in this best of 3. Who walks away with 2 points? Team Indonesia or Team Cambodia? This is a relatively quiet start compared to our previous openers. Husky, oh wait, no, never mind. I take it back. I take it back. Wadu already in the orange side of Team Indonesia.
Yep, it is Cambodia thing after all. Pedal to the metal, forcing a flicker out of a run. I mean, that's not too shabby. They don't get the pressure Joe anymore, but they do take the beetle away. Widdy shows up, provide a bit of support, but with Boxy around, it's going to help the teammates heal up. Widdy taking fatal damage. First blood going over to Detective, and now they want more is Joe. Next on the chopping block, but Aran takes the teammate Shadow back in. Joe able to escape. Aran finds a takedown. Joe with the Shadow just dances around Team Cambodia, and this is just disastrous. 4 dead for Cambodia and a triple takedown for Aran.
Team Indonesia, they were able to weave through the heals that Boxy was providing. The extra sustain Wadu had by weaving in and out of the bushes. And again, Cambodia, their damage isn't as reliable yet. Now Zing is caught out between 2. Make that 3! 4!
And they give it to Kabuki too. I mean, it's almost fair to say that all 3 lanes collapse within a matter of 30 seconds. And this is definitely not what you want, right? This choke pick, not just a witty special, but also forcing Sing to make a decision. You want Flicker or do you want Purify? It's a lose-lose situation regardless. Aran shows up, there is the SOD. Joe still has the ultimate, just shadow kills his way. Witty finds the takedown. Traction Post hits the glulet, so ends up getting nothing. It's 6 kills to 1, 2.5 minutes in. They lose you finally, but Detective is gonna end up going down. Brought underneath the turret. That's Kabuki with his 2nd kill. It's 7 kills to 2 in favor of Indonesia, Leo.
I don't know if Messi is the goal, but the first 2 minutes of this game was so messy. It was literally mayhem, chaos incarnate in the land of Dawn. Wait, am I reading this right? Is Opie's first item not going to be Wadu? Witty flickering out. Is Opie's first item going to be a Sky Piercer?
Yeah, it feels like it seems like it, right? He has 2 expert gloves and he's not completing his boots, but he has no damage. Who are you executing? That means that the only damage dealer, reliable one, is Sing, who just got his Heart's Claw, but he's not going to participate in majority of these fights, so many questions that need to be answered. Kabuki does end up going down, the kill going on to Detective, but Weedy finds the kick, forces out the Purify and the blast. Airstrike from the Wiseman himself, and they pick up 2. Team Indonesia again winning out the skirmish.
And how unfortunate that it's Zing who dies in that whole exchange. Again, that's why there was so much effort from Team Cambodia to send dudes down there to try and get back farm on the Zing to get him back on track. Instead, it's Kabuki who gets a couple of kills and is in a better position. They're down what now? 1,000 and change up top. The fights don't stop.
Wadu is most likely going to get executed too. Joe just presses the ultimate shadow kills, and that is going to be a 2nd takedown for this Hayabusa. I mean, Leo, despite it being so bloody, the fact that Cambodia is less than 2k behind, I guess is not too bad in the grand scheme of things.
And the turtle spawned. Let's see if they can regroup and, recover from here. There's a man advantage for Indonesia, and it's already broken out.
And the kick onto Boxy too. Joe gets the turtle, and unfortunately Boxy doesn't grab anyone. The SOD connects, no follow-up. Allows Team Cambodia to find a kill or 2 for themselves. They lose Oppie in the process. That's Aran with a mega kill streak, but at least Team Cambodia gets something in return.
That's a 2 for 1. OP for Witty and Yehezkiel. I'd say it's still a wash because they did lose out on the turtle. Detective throwing no caution to the wind, trying to hunt down Kabuki. And oh no, it might be the same story as game 2. Conceal from Witty.
Xing doesn't have flicker, so they just jump onto him. He's trying to weave his way in, and now the Shadow Cube bounces on the detective. So Xing able to survive that. Witty not able to catch up, but they lose Boxy in the process. So Indonesia still gets a win.
That's a clear 1,000 and change up for Indonesia. And the map, they're just so much speedier rotating onto the map. Even with Detective here. Aran finds the mount, sends him over.
Traction pulls only onto Witty. Fortunately for Wadu, he really can't do much. OP also needs to stay safe, and well, this time Indonesia really, they don't get much in return. Feather airstrike though, it's gonna shut down OP, who just isn't aware of where Oran is at.
Indonesia going full brawl server, and Cambodia are enabling them. Cambodia are actually walking into these fights looking for them. That is a tsunami slam onto Aran. In comes Wadu from the back. Oh, that's an unorthodox amount of discipline. They didn't pick that fight.
And there's no damage from Cambodia. Jing's soccer balls aren't hitting hard enough.
They're deflated.
They're gonna try again. Without Tsunami Sand, they still got a title strike, so yeah. Boxy's gonna sacrifice his life. No, he pressed the conceal at the end to somehow survive. They find Yehezkiel, so that is a shutdown for Team Cambodia.
Yehezkiel taken out. Closing the gap, but just barely. 2,000 between Indonesia and the Khmer. One more concealed from Witty. Who's he looking for?
Finds the slow, Aran flickers forward. They want Z. He gets out of range, but the SOD connects Kabuki with the kill. And now Kabuki is out of position. Doesn't get a cooldown for his reposition, so Offie gets the punish. There's the Sky Piercer for this Kimmy. Aran walking away. Detective sees this going on, but he's a level behind Joe. This should be a free turtle for Team Indonesia. Detective will try, but in vain. Gets kicked backwards and now out of position. Pops to the Puissance, takes the Eye of the Storm. Cyclone Eye gets away, and they disengage.
Consider me confused. I am not used to this kind of high octane Mlbb. Just throwing bodies and catching fists. Indonesia able to make sense of it all and try and stop what was going on in the turtle, but I don't know how Detective did that. He just, it was a 1v1 and it was obvious that Zhu was actually up, but Zhu couldn't secure. That's a turtle, the final turtle for Cambodia.
And third turtle is always a lot more important too. So it is, I mean, good news for Team Cambodia. They still are 2,000 behind. They have a, a boss cup they need to deal with. Bottom lane, Boxy gets kicked back. Musa needs to go down to the Shadow Strike. Seeing trying his best to do damage, and now Kabuki joins in. Gets found out of position as Wadu chops it in half. Xing's gonna be the next target, and he also out of position. Double kill for Joe. Wants to look for Oppie, doesn't find it, but Wiseman is catching up. Oppie executes it with the Sky Piercer. Witty over the wall, couldn't find it with the Chicken. No, Oppie somehow escapes as Detective saves his mid laner.
Witty trying to run away here. Wadu has eyes on him, has to let him go. Oh wow, Zhu was there. Zhu was just pushing.
He does have the ultimate. Can jump onto Wadu. He has max stacks. Boxy tries to save Wadu and is successful in doing so. I mean, talk about a high octane game. They still are going. They still are willing to fight. And now it's Witty with the kick. Gets jumped on by Wadu. Witty tries to escape. Goes down to the retribution of Detective. As both teams continues to trade body. Is Aran next. Here comes Joe and Yehezkiel. And once more, Indonesia strikes back. The SOD from downtown Team Cambodia ends up taking a big fat L in the bottom lane. There's 3 dead. Detective wanting to run away with Aran on top of him. He gets brought back, but at least he's able to roll out to safety as the Lord spawns.
Yep. Detective pressed the Puissance just to make sure. We barely caught it, but Opie gets slain 1v1 by Zhu. And this is all Team Indonesia right now. Free Lord for them as they barrel forward about 4,000 gold.
I mean, it's pretty obvious that one team is gassing out and that team is Team Cambodia. When you're constantly fighting, you start losing track of the resources on the map, of what the enemy has left in the tank. Team Cambodia, we saw that happen. They kept on pushing the envelope, forgetting that Yehezkiel and Joe are still around. Now Lord for Team Indonesia, and the goal gap start to widen.
It's currently at about 5,000 gold, barely under, as the Lord spawns in the top lane. Indonesia. This is the Brawl server. They are known as the Brawl server. I don't know what Team Cambodia was thinking. Zing is at 0 and 5. Oh, Yasgil gets caught.
Presence Purify, but still ends up going down. Good catch from Oppie. I think Cambodia finding some sort of a response. Kabuki pushing the bottom lane with Lord Empower minions. Instant conceal from Team Cambodia. They want to catch Kabuki. 4 men coming in. Kabuki only has a Purify to work with. SOE reposition. Presence Purify. Wadu takes the shot and allows Kabuki to get away. Perfect execution from the Moskov.
The MPL ID vet of so many seasons gets away from sure death. Team Indonesia continue to pick up the pace because of that attempted gang. But oh my god, Zing almost died!
And Wadu saves him by soaking up the damage from Jude. They take care of the Lord. No inhibitors in jeopardy. Team Cambodia holds on for another couple of minutes.
Because of that huge rotation down bottom, top lane got compromised. All of the turrets up there got demolished by the Lord, and with very little effort from Team Indonesia too. So now, the lead gets for sure cemented at 5k, and Team Indonesia can just keep playing the map this way. Again, they have macro superiority, the rotational speed from the Farsa, the Moskov can go from coast to coast. Cambodia have very little to gain by following that up. Yes, they have the Hilda, yes, they have the Baksha, but they shouldn't. They should just try and play defensively, put farm on Zing. He is anemic right now. He is down almost 2,000 gold. It's almost a full item.
Yeah. He just got his Malefic gun. Same as, our man Kabuki, Little Ronaldo. He also got his Malefic gun. Doesn't even need the Winds of Nature. Because as long as Zing can't touch him, he is just straight up safe. That extra range is going to help him out for sure. Indonesia, they can just keep holding this ground. It's not like Boxy who want to engage anyways. Every time Witty shows himself, it's a no-go for Team Cambodia.
And Witty here. I don't know if this has been checked last by Team Cambodia. The conceal coming in from Boxy. Spots Yesgil.
They want him gone. He presses Purify. He gets away. Detective on the case. As the fight now splits into 2 parts, Zing needs to back out. They find the assassination onto Oppie. Zing gets jumped on. Aran misses the engage. But there's just too much from the side of Team Indonesia. Witty can't get the kick off, but Leonardo Kabuki is just cleaning up the backline. Cambodia, they lose focus and they lose 4. Team Indonesia can just run it down.
They smell blood in the water. It's endable for Team Indonesia. Only 1 defender, just Detective left.
They want to crack the case, but unfortunately for Team Cambodia, today is not the day. No Sherlock Holmes moment. Team Indonesia complete the reverse sweep. It's 2-1 in the opening series in the group stage.
They can't crack the case. Instead, they crack the base. Indonesia, turn it around. Reverse sweep, 2-1. You know what? Halfway through this game, Husky, something clicked. Indonesia just stayed the course. I think this was more of Cambodia. I'm still struggling to figure out what Cambodia was doing.
The thing that Kimi picked was just not it, right? Like they give themselves kind of a bad hand. I mean, this part looked good, but Aran, he just kept healing up, and in terms of early damage, there's just too much from the side of Team Indonesia, and the fact that they already had the draft advantage, you give them a lead like that, it just makes the life for Team Cambodia so much harder.
Yeah, okay. Benefit of the doubt, like the draft, I even took at face value. I even thought to myself, this is okay, like this is winnable. But the way that they were playing, the way they were constantly throwing themselves at Team Indonesia, like a desperate romantic, like please show me attention, please love me, let me win these fights. Indonesia wasn't going to take that. Indonesia was going to give you their best. They were going to reposition, and look at this. Oh, Yesgil gets punished, but they still get the job done because they still put Cambodia in a very weird position. So Indonesia had all of the incentive to go crazy, but Cambodia, they should have played it close to the chest. They should have been more conservative with their farm.
Yeah, and this is the straw that broke the camel's back, right? They just overstayed, they want Iran, and they end up losing 4 members in the process. So it really just a lot of things. I feel like at one point both teams sort of went autopilot and just brawl. But for Team Indonesia, they are going to win the brawl 10 out of 10 times. And as for Team Cambodia, they kept trying to push the envelope without the right ingredients. And it's clear as day that Team Indonesia just had the better recipe.
And in the series that played games under 13 minutes, Indonesia ended this the same way. Very, very quickly, 12:49, not even a chance for a comeback. Very decisive, very conclusive. Indonesia, they're in action again later. They'll be facing off against Vietnam. I wonder where this puts Team Vietnam mentally.
I mean, knowing the players on Team Vietnam, the approach is, I feel like it's going to be pretty messy as well. You know, they also are a team that likes to brawl, but a bit more systematic. Right? I just feel like in this last game, Team Cambodia, they sort of lost focus. They still played to the style that they want, but with lesser finesse. And that's something that I'm expecting that the Vietnamese teams is going to bring in later on. But for Team Indonesia, big morale boost after getting steamrolled in Game 1. They made a comeback in Game 2, and then they proceeded to steamroll Team Cambodia in Game 3 for a reverse sweep. And they, again, winning from the draft itself is really pretty indicative on how they are feeling coming into this game and preparing for the next one.
Look at this total menace. Aran, 4-0-15. Husky, I can't even tell you the last time I played a ranked game and that was my kill score. That was my KDA, 4-0-15. No one was safe. Cambodia, all of them. Even their coach, I'd say, was touched by a glueling.
On an XP lane, some more, right? Like we said, the power to Aran, that third pick glue on red side, basically sealed like 80% of the deal. There was nothing left for Team Cambodia to deal with. Like Beatrix and Granger got banned out in the second phase. It's just brilliance from Team Indonesia. So again, this is if it's anything for Team Cambodia to take away from, it is a lesson, right? It's a lesson in drafting. It's also a lesson on a bit of that polish of the aggression. Right? You can play fast, but when you start overheating, that's when you start thinking about winning when it's not your time. That's where you run into trouble.
That's right. Self-awareness is key to self-progression. So I'm hoping that after this series, a series that they definitely could have won, Cambodia regroups and focuses on the lessons instead of the loss and are able to come back. Again, top 2 scoring teams out of their group moves forward through this qualifier to be able to go to the playoffs, and at least Cambodia got 1 point, right? Cambodia got a point and Indonesia got 2.
Yeah, so it's not all doom and gloom for Team Cambodia just yet. They just got to play harder, you know. Even if they just secure the second spot of the group stage, they still will qualify. But it would be nice to be in the spot that Indonesia is in right now. Not a full 3 points, but still at the top.
And there'll be another chance for Indonesia to score more because they'll be in action once again in another broadcasted match coming your way on this very same channel. You'll see Indonesia and Vietnam in another best of 3. But for now, we're going to go to a quick break. His name is Husky. My name is Leo. You're watching the Asia and Oceania qualifiers for Mobile Legends Bang Bang here in the World Esports Iesf. See you in just a bit. Welcome back. You're watching the Asia and Oceania qualifiers for World Esports Iesf featuring Mobile Legends Bang Bang for Men. You just witnessed Indonesia reverse sweep Cambodia, but now it's time for the same squad to attempt to take down Vietnam. His name is Husky and my name is Leo. We'll be at your service calling this match. Husky, are you ready?
Yes, absolutely, Leo. I mean, we have quite a series coming up in just a little bit. I mean, Indonesia, they're coming off of a pretty insane momentum. You know, again, getting a reverse sweep on the team Cambodia, who gave them a heck of a royal beatdown in the opening series. But you know, coming into this, we can definitely be sure Indonesia is going to feel really good about themselves. You did post the question, how are the Vietnamese? How are they going to manage their mentality coming into this after witnessing the high tide that the Indonesians are on? And I say, just treat it normal, right? Like don't overthink, don't get overwhelmed. Just play your game, and then perhaps you could force a reset.
This is one of the few times wherein Vietnam will be facing Indonesia head on, given that in our other esports events that are on the international scale, more of the ones played for club, Vietnam is placed in the wild cards. But this time they find themselves in the same group as Indonesia, that is Group B. And they're looking to equal the odds and get more points so that they can be the ones to qualify for the playoffs. This is the second match that Indonesia is playing back-to-back. So you just witnessed them on broadcast. They're going at it again. And they're looking to either go 2-0 or are we going to see an upset? Because I could have sworn Cambodia was going to upset Indonesia. It looked like they were.
Yeah, it definitely felt like it, right? In fact, we were all both expecting a 2-0 and that didn't happen. We ended up getting a 2-1 the other way around. But we could also say that Cambodia is also playing the second consecutive match, right? It's going to be happening off broadcast, so we're going to check in on that a little bit because our focus now turns onto Vietnam, which is fielded with veterans that I'm pretty sure a lot of us are familiar with if we've watched any tournaments on the international scales or even in the wildcard realm. But up against Indonesia is a rare opportunity for them to learn and to play against the best.
Yep, the Mekong region, they are the shining stars of that said part of Southeast Asia. Again, they just recently got their own version of the Pro League, that is the VMC. But now, again, a reintroduction to the squad that played earlier tonight. That is Team Indonesia, also known as Team Liquid ID. You have Aran, Widi, Kabuki, Ju, and Yehezkiel. I think Ju is a revelation to me. I knew Kabuki had it in him, but Ju, I'm starting to like him. I'm starting to feel at home with this jungler in action for Team Indonesia.
And we saw him play, you know, different brands of jungler, right? Like game one was a bit of a, okay, how is he going to play with his team? We saw that Mitrio fell apart, but then when we go to game 3, he was styling on everyone with that Hayabusa. He was straight up Houdini. He was going in and out of fights. No one could find him. He was getting the right angles. He's ambushing, you know, Team Cambodia from unexpected, in a line of sight. So I agree with you. I'm starting to see the potential of this Indonesian squad coming together. We get a bit more solid data to work with. Now we got to see if they can push it further against this veteran squad from Vietnam. Got Joga, Daylight, Nart, and we also got Meow.
I think you're short a couple of hairs there, but yeah, these are the same dudes we know to represent not just Vietnam, but also the Mekong region when it comes to international Mlbb. So what can we expect? Number 1, Joga, great on Assassins. Number 2, Nart, he is one of those catch type roamers, so we can expect good things from him. I think it's time for this squad, also known as Legion Esports, now playing for Team Vietnam, for them to reinvent themselves. Maybe that is one way that they can shock Indonesia and shock all of the fans watching here at Iesf in the Asia qualifiers. If they suddenly introduce a different brand of Mlbb that works, again, not just for the sake of it, you know, being different, a style that works, then maybe they can get away with a quick 2-0, or maybe even run it back, go all the way. I don't know, but that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone to stop Indonesia in their tracks, because looking at Group B, Indonesia might be a shoe-in for the playoffs.
Yeah, and not just that, this is also a slight blast to the past for fans of the authentic Legion Esports, right? Because when we last saw them on an international stage, they did play with Shocker and Kramgard, who are not Vietnamese, Filipino imports at that time. But right now, we get the original squad back, and that has to be something exciting, because when Legion Esports, before they even introduced the concept of imports into the team, they were tearing it up, right? They were the kings of Mekong. No one could touch them. Now we get to see that in play again.
That's right. This one's for the OG LG fans, and they're gonna need your help, because even with Team Liquid, or in this case Team Indonesia, being a different mix, they are still Indonesian Mlbb athletes. They're still one of the best in the world. So Vietnam, this might be one of the ways that they step up. This might be one of the ways that they can prove that they don't just belong in the wild cards, that they belong in the big stages with the big boys, and now fighting for country. What an opportunity. The draft will begin in just a bit. Husky, let's talk about the metagame, what we can expect. I think Yusun Lancelot will still be a big focus going into this match.
For sure. Not just that, I think looking at Legion Esports, the way that they've been approaching the meta, they also have some pretty interesting takes on how they like to play, right? Like, for example, Cho is a big commodity. They really love the Cho. We've seen them rock a couple of Uranus, in their time in the latest tournament as well. But also, I think they won't shy away from something like a Novaria mid. We have seen that in play. In fact, I feel like this is the one team that is willing to experiment here and there. The Valentina also is a hero that we haven't really seen, at least for today. So if we're talking about Team Indonesia that has some curveball that we have seen, I think you can say the same for Team Vietnam. They also have some tricks.
Well, there it is. Again, the first thing we mentioned about the metagame are the exact heroes that get banned. But with this kind of focus on Lancelot and Yusun Shin, the eyes are averted from another big ticket jungler that should always be respected. I don't know if the draft will warp around it, or if Vietnam or Indonesia will try to sneak it in. What about the Fanny?
That's the thing. I think Fanny is in quite a weird position, right? We've seen like her Fanny getting picked up every now and then, but the loss rate for Fanny in pro games have drastically gone up in the recent time, right? So much easier to shut her down. There's a smaller margin for error. You can't just, Beyblade style on people for the first 5 minutes and end the game right then and there. That's no longer a possibility. So I think more teams are willing to gamble the Fanny if they feel confident enough, which is why that you no longer see her being, straight up a flat out ban in the first phase.
So again, nothing in the picks yet show that anyone is, gunning for the Fanny. We see the Farsa, the Baksha ban, the 1-1. Zhu Xin is still at large. Arlott, CC, these big ticket heroes, some, not just one of them, some of them are going to see play. And there's the CC. So is this a first pick Zhu Xin for Yehezkiel?
Yeah, there's first pick Zhu Xin, Fanny as well. That one is also let through. It is Vietnam posing the question, while Indonesia, they don't bite, right? They go for neither of them. They go for the Arlott first pick. And I think it's a response to the CC ban, right? We saw CC ban in the previous series, and we were wondering, when is this Arlott going to become a priority? It went to 4th pick both games, and now Indonesia, they switch it up.
Would you dare Phoveus Zhu Xin? That seems to be one of the answers. All right, I'm half correct. Moscow first. Okay, no rush. No need to rush.
Indonesia very fast with the response to instant Granger pick. And the Fredrin, a bit of that Fabian DNA. We've seen that happen. But the old Liquid, right? Having that Fredrin as a front line, and you just straight up bulldoze your enemy with this Granger in the back. They haven't picked up the Mages yet, so that's going to be a big contention going into the second ban phase. It's more for Vietnam. Do you pick your jungler now? Hayabusa, or you could leave it for second phase and maybe pick up something like Akai. I can see Akai being a thing.
It's been a hot minute since we've seen Fredrin, but this is good. I like how Indonesia are so sure of their approach into game number 1 against Vietnam. I'd say if they want Akai, pick it now, because if not, Akai is going to get banned in the second phase, and Akai does well against Fredrin. But instead, they want to prioritize the Lapu-Lapu, which is understandable. You want to win against the Phoveus, rather the Arlott. So what does Vietnam do? They ban out the Esmeralda here. So they're not convinced that the Arlot is going to be in the XP lane.
I feel like knowing the players, knowing people like Witty, you know, on Team Indonesia, there's going to be some tricks up his sleeves, right? Like Witty is never an honest man. He's wise, but he's not honest. He has a lot of fake out picks, so I do like the respect that Team Vietnam is giving. At least you cover your bases, and if this is a Witty Arlet, at least your Lapu Lapu gets a better lane to play into.
So Indonesia's turn to ban out. I'd say take out those junglers, man.
What's your command?
There's the Fanny
There's the
again, as
Fanny.
mentioned. That's one of Joga's favorites. I'd reckon red 5 ban should be an Akai. Vietnam,
I
not
think
sure. Mid laner, maybe.
Yeah, they could still ban a mid laner, something that works well with Fredrin with a setup. So there's no
Kimmy?
Farsa. The Kimmy double marksman again. I mean, we saw how that played out early on. They still do ban a Kimmy. Okay.
Okay. I'm surprised at how well I'm reading this draft. Something tells me I should do this for a living.
So
it's
is this the Akai again? Is this the Akai ban?
Yeah. Oh, the Joy. Alright, so they're more threatened about the burst. Because again, Vietnam's damage profile is pretty weird right now. So they'll allow the Akai, if it is the Akai. But instead they lock in a roamer first. So there's the Badang. I still don't like the damage profile, Husky. I'll tell you now. This is still very... I'm underwhelmed by the amount of damage they can dish out.
Yeah, they actually don't have much damage. They have a lot of crowd control. You know, they can stun lock you, but it's not enough to take you out, right? So even I guess they want to see what the remainder of the draft is. They want to see where this Arlet is gonna go before they decide whether the Akai is a good choice. There is a bit of anti-synergy thing going on. There's like synergy and anti-synergy, right? And you, on one hand, you have a Badang wall builder with the Akai heavy spin, but at the same time, if you use it wrongly, you push your enemies away from the Lapu and Tusin, and then it becomes a bit of a headache for Vietnam to deal with.
Yep. And it doesn't solve the problem of the damage. Now Indonesia have a healthy amount of damage, so they just invest in so much crowd control. There's the Gatot Kacha throwing it into the roam. I'm 99% sure. And then the Eve. Okay, so there's a solid kill box and zoning potential for Indonesia. What goes into the hands of Joga here?
This is already looking very scary from Indonesia. Any minor crowd control can easily be followed up. Right? Like if Joe catches you, there can be instant RWM, instant AOG. There's so many ways for Team Indonesia to start a fight, and for Vietnam, they don't really have a way to respond. It's either you all in, or you don't engage at all. So Hayabusa is definitely feels like the better choice right now.
It seems like the only choice, given the metagame and what they drafted themselves into. So it looks like it's not about the amount of damage or the damage profile they're dealing. It's just how well they can acquire targets. So this is a very pick-off centric lineup for Team Vietnam, and against a team like Indonesia who has clearly more experience, they decided to invest in team fighting. This is Vietnam's gambit.
It is, and usually when you see these kind of archetypes of drafts, it feels very linear, right? We have a weird mix of damage profile, but we have just enough to get a snowball going, and the condition is we have to get the ball rolling. And if we drop the ball somewhere and Indonesia picks it up, they're gonna run away. They're gonna shoot a half-court shot, and then the game starts going out of control. In this case, for Vietnam, they are running on a timer.
Yep, it's tricky because they only have so many choices to make. If we don't win and we don't snowball out of control, how do we win from a losing position, right? How do we not lose? Because their lineup isn't very good on the defense. They suck at clearing waves. So now going into game one, this is a vibe check. This is a test of a measure of exactly how prepared Vietnam is to face off against a powerhouse team that is Team Indonesia.
And I think, discretion is the key. They can't look to force too much. I think they really have to pick their fights and cut the losses when things don't go their way. In a long drawn-out fight, even though you have someone like a Jusin and Badang that can fight forever, you can sort of say the same for Indonesia, and they do even better, right? Fredrin, Iesf, they could keep on going until Vietnam runs out of gas. You got Torkacha as well. So much sustain just in the front line alone.
Yep, which makes this whole we are focused on team fighting approach so much more fragile for Team Vietnam. Looking at the lane to lane here, Team Vietnam keeping to their side of the map, and it's so much faster for Kabuki to clear waves and to even check slightly off. That's why he's not so worried. That's why he's not asking for Witty to rotate.
Not only that, when the game goes late and teams start to gravitate towards bigger fights, setups are so much easier, easily achievable for Team Indonesia, just because you have something like a Final Slash and RWM, as compared to Vietnam that needs to be in your face. Like Nard probably has to land some sick flicker, fist crack. If not, then you are at the mercy of Indonesia jumping you when you least expect it.
Yep. Here we go. Massive presence here down bottom by Team Indonesia as they set up for the first turtle take. Not allowing for them to cross the threshold too much. Is that a real... Yep, there it is. Yazgil has the real manipulation. Now it's go time.
Turtle takes are going to be always in favor of Indonesia. Like Nard walks up, sure, you find Aran. Joga is going to try, instantly taunted up by the Gatot, and the slam from Joe. Easy first blood for Witty. Nothing much can be done. This fight pretty much concluded. Turtle for Team Indonesia, 2 kills for them. Tries to go for number 3. RWM drop down. It's gonna be the running away with the Purify. And Aran still goes in. Flickers follows up. 3 dead for Team Vietnam and a purple buff to boot.
There wasn't very much could do. Because again, his front line wasn't there anymore. And I'll tell you now, Husky, the team fight started even before... Oh, it ended even before it started. And Joga goes down again! And Dark 2! Oh, gosh.
Is it too early to go? That's the 6th kill in 3 minutes. Is it early to call it? It's almost a 4K goal lead, Leo. It's like with 3 point... What is this? 3.7? I can't count. 3.3K goal lead.
Math. I'd say just the way that Vietnam are walking into what Indonesia want them to walk into, and how Indonesia throw no caution to the wind and don't get punished. I'll tell you now, if it's not over, it's close to it. Narc gets popped here. The SOD thrown out by Daylight. I don't know what the plan is.
It looks pretty done. Usually I don't. I give it the benefit of doubt, but I feel like we get caught this pretty early. It's a 4K goal lead, almost 5K, and not only that, we say that Vietnam, they're on a timer. Well, it just got fast-tracked. I think the window has sort of closed.
Yep. Team Indonesia denied Vietnam these team fights. They denied them the entry into the battles, and Aran misses the final slash there, but to little punishment. I'm pretty sure that wasn't very painful to him. And there you go, AOG coming in.
It's just a straight up massacre in the jungle. They pull Joe back, keeps it under the turret. Okay, doesn't get slammed and appraisals wrap, so they finally get a shutdown somehow. SOD does miss. A small price to pay for Team Indonesia. They still got everything, right? Top tier 1 is already down. Kabuki shoves a wave underneath the tier 2. Mid tier 1 is getting threatened, and I mean, like, if you are the Lapu now, you are feeling so terrible. Like, Meow, he's forced to leave late and he's getting terrorized by Aran.
Poor Meow. Oh, man. All right, here's the thing. What are the items on Kabuki? Because I just saw about 20 seconds ago, 15-20 seconds, he built his Sky Piercer. Did he just fast-track that thing before building the... Did he?
No.
Oh no, he already has the Hunter Strike. What?
He's so he saw what was done earlier on by Xing, and he's like, I can do it faster. Give me a good lead, and wow, and he just takes out Daylight on the lane with the help of Witty too. Second turtle for Indonesia. This game has completely spiraled out of control. Almost a 5.5K goal lead, 5.5 minutes in. There is no space. Even in Team Vietnam's own jungle, it doesn't feel safe.
This is a clinic put on by Team Indonesia. I knew that there was a gap in their experience, and the possible execution, but I didn't expect it to be put on exhibition this way, Leonardo here, that's Kabuki, gets caught and doesn't get killed by Joga, and instead Joga gets punished!
No way! That is how far behind Joga was. He even pressed his flame retribution, and he still did not get the kill. Warcry flame retribution, and I believe a full stack for the shadow kill too. I mean, Kabuki took it like a man. He stood it. He stood there, and he just fired away.
Wait,
Another purple buff gone.
hold up. Kabuki had a flicker, and not a single time in that fight did I feel like he was gonna use it.
Yeah.
He was ready to take that to the chin. And that's what explains this. What is it now? A 6K, 7K gold lead?
Yep. It's a 7K goal lead.
Approaching 8. Approaching 8.
It's not slowing down. The orange buff is gone. That's a full combo. Joe barely feels it. This Lapu, oh my goodness. This Lapu is not getting the game at all. He's level 7. Level 7, he is dead broke. I'm pretty sure he only has like one item. Big RWM up top. Everyone forced back. Holy shield popped 7 minutes into the game.
Okay. So let's consider worst case scenario. What if Vietnam are able to extend this? Is Daylight capable of pulling this back? Can Daylight get enough farm on him, and how long might it take for this to even be contestable? For this to be an actual fight?
15 minutes and beyond, I guess.
I'll say that's even optimistic. That is glass very half full. Daylight able to get the push here, so that's some leeway, some breathing room for the Vietnamese squad. But I think Indonesia are treating this turtle like a lord. They're gonna turn this final turtle into a pivot point.
Yeah, whereas for Team Vietnam, they are just using their holy shields as a resource, as a tool to give themselves a bit more space. Waiting with the conceal. Hey, completely out of position. Let's get the lift off. We have to use the Crimson Beacon to get away. Unfortunately for Daylight, can't really get a push going, a run to the defense, and yeah, there's a Lord spawn. I think Indonesia can easily take this Lord.
Literally, Husky didn't even treat it like a lord. They turned it into a lord, and they're gonna go for the throat here. They're gonna let it spawn in time, 8:45, and then go for it. What is the lead now at? Oh my god, approaching 10!
Yeah, 10K at before 10 minutes is a little death sentence. There's I don't know. I feel like if there's any way for Team Vietnam to have a chance, you catch someone off guard, but you have to start throwing bodies, right? You have to throw Nard, you have to throw Meow at them, and then maybe have Joga and Daylight pick up the kill. But even that is the best ask.
Yep, and this is assuming that Team Indonesia take it lying down, that they all just let go of their phones. Now that's two get caught!
And Daylight gets popped just like that. The fresh BOD, I think, for Kabuki. Daylight's going to be back in 20 seconds, but a lot can be done in 20 seconds. No holy defense for the top and mid inhibitor. And Lord still casually pushing bot. And Joe just walks up in front. That's the first inhibitor now. Joga with the quick shadow kill. That's basically nothing aside from clearing out the wave.
Again, Vietnam are just throwing all their resources out to survive. This is not where you want to be with a team fighting lineup. Indonesia are knocking down on your doors. There's a conceal.
And they take out Nart. Yo, Badang disappears. They are looking for Joe, but even that can't get him. Meanwhile, Kabuki just straight out runs down 3 members of Team Vietnam. That's a triple kill for him. And there really isn't much that can be done. The main for Kabuki. They want to give Leonardo the Savage. Can they do it with the RWM? Nope, not given by Daylight. But still, Indonesia will take the win.
10 minutes on the dot. I'm uncomfortable calling this even a contest, Husky. From the first engagement, it seemed like Vietnam wasn't ready at all. This is a boxer walking into the ring without his gloves.
And Team Vietnam showed up and realized that they were in the wrong weight class. As Indonesia just piled on them. There really wasn't, like you said, there wasn't any chance. Like, you wouldn't expect interactions like this to happen like before the 4-minute mark, and yet here we are 4 minutes in, both sides of the jungle invaded by Team Indonesia. They were casually running down everyone from Vietnam, and then you have that Joga moment. It's not a contest at all, man.
So one thing to consider as to how we ended up at this point in the match, 1-0, Indonesia at match point, is the draft is just so much better. I think we talked about that, right? We mentioned how the kill box is a little more secure, a lot more secure for Indonesia. Their damage profile is there. Again, you can burst, you can DOT, you can sustain. CC is so reliable, you know, like AOG sets things up. There's a box with the RWM, the taunts, the final slashes, the vengeance. Is it really just that, or is there a way that Vietnam could have played their way into a match that looked like an actual match?
I think if assuming that they are both even, right? There's no 10k lead for the Indonesia. Then I think it would be down to Joga sneaking to the back line and having both Meow and Nart start the fight. Like, I think the one way Team Vietnam's draft could work is if they pull Team Indonesia apart, right? Because they have many ways to come in from weird angles, like Moskov SOD, the quad shadows from the Hayabusa. This game ends, and I mean, you look at Joga's item, man. He's broke. Like, I'm broke, but he is more broke. He only got a Hunter Strike and a Legion Sword.
That kind of item layout was what was Kabuki rocking in about 4 minutes. That still was very impressive. I don't know how fast he got there. It looked like at 4:30, he got Boots, Hunter Strike, and Sky Piercer. That's got to be some sort of record, because usually in competitive matches, you see that kind of layout at about 5.5 minutes, maybe even approaching 6. But here he got it under 5.
Yeah, and it's not like Kabuki participated in a lot of the early fights, right? I feel like he was just straight up laning, and everyone else is fighting. Man, he probably was just double laning because of how far the team was. That's the only way I could think of for him to reach that item timing that fast.
And he is our ATM. He's hitting what? 11,000 gold, 11.2 divided by 10. Safe to say he was farming about 1,000 and change per minute.
Yeah, he was straight up just printing. He was just printing dough. He's just taking everything. Everything is given to him. He doesn't have to worry about anything. His team is doing all the heavy lifting, and he's just there. He's just getting spoon fed. That's a dream game for a gold laner.
And it's a dream game that he played. All right, like we would not get to this point if they were not excellent in their execution. So now we give time to Team Vietnam to gather themselves and reapproach this match again. Indonesia at match point, and we give Indonesia time to recalibrate and look back at how they played very well. You're watching the best of 3 between Team Indonesia and Team Vietnam. We'll be right back after this quick break. What's up? You're watching the game between Team Indonesia and Team Vietnam. My name is Leo, this is Husky, and we're still figuring out exactly what went wrong because in that 10-minute match, so much happened, yet very little was shown by the squad from Vietnam.
Yeah, it's a 10-minute match, but it's basically condensed, right? It's could have been condensed into the first 3 minutes that we saw. Vietnam, they never really had control of the game. It felt like they were lost. They were thrown into the unknown, and they didn't know how to respond. Right? The draft made sense. I think Team Vietnam has some ideas. They probably realized that the draft favors Team Indonesia slightly more, but the gameplay, that's where the power gap was. Hit them like a brick. They just did not know how to deal with it.
I'd like to think it's less of a power gap and more of just a lack of preparation, because this is just my theory, right, as to why this happened. We agree that Vietnam's draft was very team fight centric, right? They win when they fight, and they win if they pick you off. What if they were engaged on too soon? What if, is that even a thing? Like, now as coming out of my mouth, I'm like questioning how plausible this is. What if they were waiting to be the ones who were the initiators, and then they caught off guard, and then they just did not know how to respond? They don't know how to play from behind. Like, that's what I'm trying to say here, because folks, in case you didn't know, this is not the most recent version of Legion Esports or of Team Vietnam. Like, this is an OG lineup that hasn't played for what, almost 6 months.
I think around 6 months. But I feel like I think you hit the nail on the head. They just didn't know how to respond. Maybe the idea of approaching that game was different. Maybe they were waiting to make the first move, and perhaps their understanding of what the draft needed to do was different from what was practically feasible, and that's why they kind of got caught off guard. But that's also kind of the identity of the Vietnamese teams, right? We've seen them play. This is how they like to draft. They like to get scrappy. They like to fight. It's just they got shut down so fast that they didn't really get to show that brawly side, I feel like that Fredrin pick was a big deterrent for any sort of, I want to fight you early. So I want to see if they can adjust to it. I think, that Fredrin from Team Indonesia really was a big deterrent.
Yep. So now going into this draft, and again, in an effort to take us to Game 3, would it be wrong for Team Vietnam to play less into team fights? Would it be to their benefit if they played a little closer to the chest and drafted a more fundamental lineup without, committing too heavy into one direction? Because if that's the problem, if that's what happened here in game number 1, that they were just too team fight heavy and they lost that opportunity and they did not know what to do from there, what if they just, drafted a Farsa? What if they drafted a Moskov? Tried to get their hands on a Fredrin, like if Joga isn't as careful, because you have to admit, like, folks, you watch the same game as we did, Joga was a little reckless with that Hayabusa.
He was. I think they had the recipe already, right? I think the previous draft allowed them to play into pickoffs, and kind of separate the enemy lineup given the right conditions. We had, like, when Kalea was open, they never really considered that. So the far side, I believe, was banned out in game 1. So I think they could lean to that. Maybe if they go blue side, then they have more incentive. I feel like even if the Kalea gets picked up rather than the Badang, they would have had a way to deal with whatever Indonesia had, right? Because we had a lot of frontline, but Kalea Beatrix could solve part of the problem. But the Badang was kind of like the safe pick that they went with, and maybe it might have just been too safe.
All right, I'm getting real panicky about this because I've never seen a game played on this level to that effect. Because we know these teams. We know I would have been more accepting or understanding if it's a team that we did not know. Like if it came from some weird region that has never played Mlbb Esports on this level, but we know Vietnam. We know Indonesia. There should have been more of a fight in game 1. So here's another alternative. What if they pick heroes that aren't necessarily currently hot in the metagame, not your Badangs, not your Arlots, not your Chos, not your Matildas, but what if you go to like a newly buffed hero, a newly reworked hero, like a Grok, like a stopper? Wouldn't that be better? Like you would be able to control the ebb and flow of team fighting. You're able to initiate when you're ready. You're able to stop your opponent in their tracks if necessary. These are the ways I can see how Team Vietnam can make this a little more competitive.
I think the only team that's been throwing curveballs is Team Indonesia, right? And we know that the Vietnam lineup, they also have that up their sleeves. If there's any time to do it, this is the game, right? It's all for the marbles. You're not going to face Indonesia after this, so you might as well get a point if you can. Just keep your chances alive and not let Indonesia walk away with a fat 3 points. That's going to put them 5 points in the standings alone. So Drusin, Fanny, Yi Sun Shin, 1-1, the usual bans. Lancelot probably is going to get banned out next too.
Or not.
Or not.
Because compared to the Lancelot, compared to the Hayabusa, the Lancelot has an easier way of getting out of these, pickles in the land of Dawn. So that's what's happening now. Look at this. The Baksha gets banned. So now, there it is. All right, never mind.
Nice.
Indonesia wasn't going to let it through.
Yep. Even if they dominated the first game, they still are not willing to take that risk. That's how scary Lancelot is. So we did get the CC first pick finally. After 5 games, we get to see the CC being picked up. Let's see what the value of the CC is. We saw the first phase Arlet that ended up going into the XP lane. They still will do it, Arlet and Farsa.
There it is. The two best heroes in the EXP lane today, Arlet and CC. And then Indonesia, they know how to really stick it here to Vietnam, taking the Farsa. So there's a Gatot Kacha, sure to go into the roam. What else does Vietnam need? Again, I'd say play it safe. And this is good. Again, take away Kabuki's Granger. So Vietnam already looking so much better. First phase in alone.
There's still the Moskov or Kabuki if you want, right? Moskov is the next option on the table.
Which you should. I think that's the right pick, yeah.
Yeah, I think you should go Moskov. Unless they want to, take a backseat a little bit, and they could just, a 4-5 a Claude. Seems like that's going to be the case. They go for the Akai this time. Man, Indonesia keeps throwing out, new picks.
Okay. I cannot put a finger exactly on why they went for the Akai fast, but Indonesia are hell-bent on protecting said Akai by banning out even the Valentina. They're avoiding a Beyblade X situation here of 2 heavy spins. And Vietnam read into it. Wow. Husky, you called it. There's a Claude ban.
I expect the Moscow ban to come after this, right? You ban a Moscow, maybe you force them into a Harry Bruno. I think it's a lot more manageable overall.
Or Carry.
Oh, okay, Carry is also one way. Or there is a world where they take a Beatrix and then they last pick Kalea, right? Beatrix Kalea can still be a thing for Team Indonesia. There's a lot of permutations with this sequence that they have had as compared to what Team Vietnam has shown us so far.
I like it. Indonesia, they put themselves in a very open position by first picking the Akai in the first phase instead of like a gold laner right then and there or a roamer right then and there. Vietnam, what's the ban? Moskov, Harith. There it is, Moskov. It's gonna be. But yeah, no. If Indonesia pick a Harith here, might be a little too heavy on the magic. So maybe they do go for the Beatrix Bruno, Beatrix Bruno Gambit. They get the Bruno.
Yeah, I mean either or is going to pan out. There goes the Angela Alice, good old pup stomping composition, but if done correctly, can actually run down Indonesia before they come online.
I get it. Desperate times call for desperate measures. You got rolled in game 1 like that in 10 minutes. You bring out the cheese. All right, nothing beats. No. Queso. All right, this is a pocket pick, and oh my lord, Indonesia brings out their own. Estes in the hands of Witty. Who is Coach? Say to Lucas, what is going on?
SDL is cooking, man. Well, that changes everything, right? Angela Alice, you want to play the long game? Estes does exactly the same thing.
This is stressing me out.
Even better yet, if they want to stick onto someone, Joe can just heavy spin them away.
Okay, you're looking at this glass half full, Husky. I'm looking at it glass half empty. Half of Indonesia's roster does not interact with the Estes.
Yeah.
The Arlet is neck deep in your opponent's lineup. The Akai, as you mentioned, is rolling people out of the way, so he's going to be away from the Estes. It's really just the Bruno and the Farsa that directly benefit from the Estes. Where did this come from?
Maybe that's the game plan, right? Like, the Alice wants to dive the back line, we just keep
Okay,
the back
yeah.
line healthy.
Right, keep it like a compact unit. Okay, so there is some logic to the melee we're about to witness. Method to the madness, if you will. Coach Dali, Coach De Lucas. I hope this pays off, man, because if not, you're going to have to take it all the way again. You're at match point. Team Indonesia, 1 win away from sweeping Team Vietnam. Can Vietnam's Angela-centric lineup take us all the way?
I have a feeling we've seen this Angela Alice before, but it's from the Mekong region, right? But it's not done by this team. It was done by a separate team from the same region, and they barely won that match. And it's just because the Alice was too hard to take down. But the solution was shown that the game goes late enough. If you have enough damage, if you can't peel the Alice away, you can still outlast this insane moving fountain combo in lane.
So here we see a babysitting duo from both sides. Indonesia, I'll call their duo the more sustainable one. Look at how Weedy is just topping up Kabuki and forcing the issue. Something tells me both teams would do best to pick up their anti-heal very, very soon. Uh-oh. Flicker spent!
Oh, okay. Very early resource. They traded for the Vengeance and the Flicker. So I guess it's still a mini win for Team Indonesia, right? Two battle spells for the cost of 1. And Iran can easily heal back up with the Vengeance, so not too big of a problem. Bottom lane being shoved in by Team Vietnam. All things considered, they're holding on pretty well. A taunt, instant heal out from Witty. Kabuki is just enjoying life.
Oh!
Heavy spin, first blood. There it is. Joga did not stand a chance at all.
Heavy spin, suddenly. I'm thinking it might have come up again with Ju hitting level 4 without expecting. Oh, and then just as we left the EXP lane, Meow gets taken out, and this does all but secure the Lord for Team Indonesia. They're not done! Gets killed too!
Oh, man. Yehescu hits level 4 off of the second kill and converts it into a third too. Mid-Angela has always been a big gambit. You play Mid-Angela, you better make sure one of your side lane pops off, and in this case, both the side lanes are getting popped. I mean, Kabuki is just running under tier 1 with Witty supporting him, and Witty still has the ult, if ever. So Kabuki gets free go, Team Indonesia up on the board, 2k lead.
Mind you, this is even before Indonesia have gone full ube. They have been compact units spread across the map, and none of them have been killed. None of them even put in any slight proximity to danger, and they're pushing in hard. Look at this, Ju pushing back 3-4 members of Vietnam.
So here comes Joga with the help of the hard guard. He's not doing enough. He actually gets destroyed. Even with the hard guard, it's just insufficient. Heavy spin pin. That's double kill for Yehescu. And it's dead too. So that's another 3 for Team Indonesia. 6-0 up in terms of kills. And man, Daylight is just level 4. He is not playing the game at all.
Husky, this is deja vu. If anything, Indonesia have even more incentive to push it all the way, play so much faster than they did in game number 1, because this is a snowball lineup. Kabuki can run away and just keep taking down turrets. AOG!
Lands on the 2. That's a feather S, right? Here comes Joga. They finally take out Aran, but they need more than just 1. Unfortunately, that's all they get. Aran for nothing.
Okay, so finally on the board is Team Vietnam. Gold shields getting ruined. In comes Joga!
Playing the taunt onto Joe. He uses the heavy spin to pin Joga into the wall. And Kabuki, he's hitting like a goddamn freight train. Everyone from the side team Vietnam running away. Flicker's fall for Witty to save his teammate, and that's gonna give Kabuki a double kill. He wants more. A Flicker forward finds a big kick, and the worldie a triple takedown for Kabuki.
Team Indonesia calling the shots, clearly in the driver's seat as they take their second turtle. Husky, I've seen it once and I'm so amazed. Wait, hold up. Joga goes 2v1. I don't think this is wise.
It was not even close, man. I feel like a run probably went for damage. I mean, I would. If I'm in a run's position, I would go full damage this game. He just got the oracles too.
I appreciate how you're trying to understand what's going on, but we're very close. This is very similar to game number 1. Remember how Joga just threw himself at Kabuki? This is the same situation.
He's gonna do it again. And he's dead, man. He's dead. Joga, please stop doing that. Kabuki mega kill. They went to feather airstrike, and that's your head skill fighting a long range snipe onto daylight.
Joga, heed our words, please. All the more now, all right? Consider this, folks watching at home. Hear me out. All the more now, holding out till the late game might actually change Vietnam's fortunes. You know what I mean? You're playing with an Angela Alice. There will come a point wherein you build enough items that you can't get killed. Here's a start.
Curtain call into AOG. Maybe there's an opportunity. They finally take out your head skill. Time to cut the losses and get out of there, because 1 is all that they would get. The cost of 4, triple kill for Leonardo Kabuki. You know that the game has truly spiraled out of control when 9 out of 10 times Joker goes in. His Angela didn't even bother using the hard guard on him.
Nope. He died faster than the hard guard could have been clicked. And already Indonesia are inside the base. Excuse me. 6 minutes? I thought I misread it at 8? Down goes Joga. Another one!
Not again, Joga. They do not have the support of your team. This game's gonna end at 8 minutes, Leo.
It's like Joga's speaking a different language.
There are 2 waves. Another feather airstrike, artillery, and a heavy spin almost takes out Hey, and he still dies anyways. It is 7 minutes, below 7 minutes, and Indonesia has just 2-0 Team Vietnam.
Ladies and gentlemen, 3 points on the board. A clean sweep by Indonesia. I must say, this is the fastest game of Mobile Legends Bang Bang I've seen in half a decade. 6 and 55, I think, is the actual count. Husky, what did we see? What did we watch?
I feel like they might need to delist this game from whatever platform this is streamed on, because this is not safe for work. This is straight up.
It's criminal.
This is straight up a brutalization. Like, I mean, obviously there were some. They were great plays. I mean, all of the great plays are from Indonesia, but we also had Joga moments where he just.
We'll call it that.
he just stopped caring. I guess.
It looked like they had a solid plan. The first couple of times he did it, at least had the courtesy of going, all right, we'll hearth guard. Maybe it works. And then at some point, the hearth guards just stopped coming.
This was that moment. This death, they clearly had the hard guard. They had time. He just never used it. While they saved it for this moment, they got 1 for the price of 4, and yeah, the rest is history. So game 1, Indonesia popped the Holy Shield, or an inhibitor, at 7 minutes. Game 2, they popped the Crystal under 7 minutes. That's how big of a difference, both game 1 and game 2. I thought it could not have gone any faster, but apparently I was dead wrong.
Yeah, this is the beauty of the Bruno. Again, I think even pre-pandemic, Bruno is just one of those heroes that if you let snowball, his damage output is just unlike any other. And Kabuki knows that. Look at this. Kabuki built Sky Piercer on his Bruno. So he knows that I can just start killing people. I can just start whacking y'all. And the whole Estes didn't even get punished. Estes just did what he could to ride the wave and just go in. Just top up Farsa, top up the Bruno, call it a day.
Witty is 0-0-16. I think he has been part of every single fight this game, like 100% kill participation. And not only that, Witty's net worth is higher than the entire team, every single member of Team Vietnam.
All right,
Oof.
Husky. No, he's not. There were more kills that happened without Witty. That's how bad it was across the map. There's 20 kills. So there were 4 unaccounted for.
Witty didn't even get to be a part of.
Yeah, 4 that happened wherein he wasn't even nearby. 657 is the actual count. How? The game has been tweaked to a point where this should not be possible.
I smell another patch coming in after this. we buffed the jungle so that clears are slower, so that you don't get to pull off shenanigans like, you know, some cheeky invade, some great snowball, we're delaying, you know, some power spikes early game, and still we get this sub 7-minute game. If this wasn't broadcasted, no one would believe it.
Turrets got more life, all right? They gave more HP to turrets, and still we ended sub 7. Folks, Team Indonesia is the real deal. That or Team Vietnam is under the weather, or I'll give you one more option. Their group is just stacked like that, and Team Indonesia finds themselves at the apex of Group B. They're on top right now, 2-0.
Yeah, I would dare say that Indonesia is going to finish the group in number 1. I don't think they are going to be too worried about the rest of the matchup. They still got Laos and Guam, but you know, compared to Cambodia and Vietnam, Cambodia came the closest, and that worked out in Indonesia's favor. They just 2-0 Vietnam, which we, before the series, thought had a slight chance, and that went out the window very quickly, 5 minutes into the first game. So yeah, I think Indonesia, they're true playoffs. I'm that confident.
Yeah, the question is who will be second? Because there might be some level of upsets happening in the off-broadcast matches going on for Group B. We'll find out in just a bit. But for now, folks, that is the end of our matches, and that is the end of this broadcast for the most part. And Husky, we're going to call it a day. I still cannot find words to describe what we just watched.
Me neither. Like, the game ended so fast. I'm still in the process of processing what just happened. But I guess, you know, just like Legion Esports, we have to sleep on it, right? Sleep on what just happened, you know.
Yep.
And take our time to really let it simmer.
Yep. We wish them the best, and I hope that in the next days they're able to regroup and find a way to claw back through the groups and make it into the playoffs. Same goes for all the teams in Group B and in Group A. Once again, you've been watching the Asia and Oceania qualifiers for the World Esports Iesf qualifiers for Mobile Legends Bang Bang. His name is Husky. My name is Leo. On behalf of everyone making this broadcast possible and this whole competition run as smoothly as it can, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next one.